All right, what's going on, Piglets? It's your boy Taylor B, and I'm joined by my rhythm inclined co-host Daniel DJ Enjoy. Welcome to another installment of Culture by the Uncultured. And before we go any further, be sure to click that follow or subscribe button. And remember, Culture by the Uncultured is available on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube, and SoundCloud. Be sure to follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at Culture by the Uncultured. All right, guys, it's been a couple weeks. I know they done shut down everything again. But how y'all doing? Joey, you want to start us off? How you doing, man?
Yeah, I'll go. It's all good. I mean, we had that, I don't know what to call it. I don't really want to call it a celebration, but we had that holiday on Saturday that just passed, and on the 4th of July, I believe. And they gave me Friday off. So your boy got some good sleep in. I went to I believe I went to like 3 different houses over the course of the weekend, and everybody had leftover barbecue. So I'm barbecued the fuck out. I'm over it. I'm ready to move on. What's the next holiday coming up?
I think the next one is Labor Day in September.
Early September. Yeah, I'm ready for that one. We'll see if we can.
I need another 4-day weekend, man.
Wow, aren't you about to go on leave?
Yeah, so I'll take every day that I can.
Speaking of which, how are you doing, DJ? How are you handling things with I know you're moving and all that, and with the quarantine and everything going on? How's that all going?
Well, I mean, for me, it's going pretty well. I mean, like you said, I'm packing the whole house, basically. But other than that, just been chilling, hitting on the Warzone and Smite now. I start back up work here in a little bit, so I'll go back to the grind, but it won't be the same. I'll basically be on like a checkout process, so I'll be basically hanging out, getting all my paperwork ready, and being moving here in like the next 3 weeks now when it comes to it. But yeah, I'll be on leave for probably about 2 weeks, so I'll be down in San Diego for a little bit if you guys want to hit up each other.
Oh, nice. Exciting. Last but not least, Daniel, how you been living, man? How's it going? How was your weekend? We didn't even talk this week, I don't think.
It is hotter than Satan's toenails out here. I don't even understand how the weather can be so daggone biracial.
Didn't it just rain like the other day?
I swear it rained like 3 days ago. Then immediately it went straight to hot. Like I don't understand. I don't understand what's going on because then it's supposed to be helping. This whole C-19 thing if it's hot out and you get vitamin D, but our numbers are still rising. So I'm hella confused right now in the house. Just like I'm
gonna tell you right now, I didn't believe that for one bit because the states where the cases are going up are the hottest states: Texas, Florida, California. I don't know where the sun is helping, but I don't believe it no more.
Yeah, I'm really starting to doubt it myself. But other than that, I had a good weekend and I went out to see my sister. I finally had black food. Because y'all know the people I hang out with the most are Mexican. I'm not no ill will towards y'all, but I'm tired of rice and beans and carne asada. Every time I'm invited somewhere, I'm tired of that. So I showed up at my sister's house. I didn't even know it, but she had the mac and cheese ready. She had the deviled eggs ready. She had the ribs going. And oh my goodness.
Testify.
Yeah, that's right. Man, yeah. Well, for me, the day that we celebrated 4th of July, I guess, or the day that the rest of America celebrated 4th of July, I actually went for a hike with our homeboy David. We went up Mount Woodson to Potato Chip Rock, and we didn't actually take a picture or anything because it was packed, which was super crazy. I was like, I'm not going over there waiting in the line, and I'm not trying to go over there and catch COVID-19 either. That was super exhausting. I was sore for like the next 2 days. It was really tiring. I definitely learned how out of shape I am because later that day we went swimming, and let me tell you, there is no reason why I should have lost to David in a race, first and foremost. But then I realized how much weight I have gained, after over the course of like me being lazy and not doing anything. And then so we raced there and back basically, right? And it was, let's say like 50 yards at most, right? So it was like there and back. So I guess you could say 100 yards in total. I don't think it was that far, but it was a good distance though, right? We raced the long distance of the pool. pretty much right after that, I was like, man, I'm gassed. I don't know if I can do this again. And I told him that. And then we were going to race again. And then I jumped in the pool. I made it down there. And then I turned around and I was like, oh, I'm done. I'm tapped. Like I could not go like much. I couldn't go any faster if I wanted to.
Got to work on that stamina, bro.
Yeah. I was like, I'm done. I'm tired. I need to get back in the saddle because this ain't cutting it.
Let me tap in with the little physics real quick for people that don't know. Brandon and David are about the same height, about 6'2"?
Yeah.
About 6'2". David was really big. I'm pretty big myself. David was really big. He's recently lost a lot of weight. Brandon's always been kind of like a thick guy, but he's been thin and thicker. You know what I'm saying? Like he's always kind of played with the same weights, I guess. So you feeling slow to David, you feeling slow to David isn't really that big of a deal because he's been so much heavier. It's that comparison weight. You know what I'm saying? So like me, if I lose 150, 200 pounds, bro, y'all ain't never catching me. I'm jumping over everybody because my legs is going to be superior. You know what I'm saying? Like if I was to jump right now straight up and then take off 150 pounds and jump again, best believe your boy is, close to
skyrocket. You're going to have that explosion in your hips and your legs.
Right. You know what I'm saying? I'll get to the fridge faster than ever.
For sure. Oh, man. Well, all right. Piglets, we got a special episode for you today. Today is going to be our episode where we discuss the top projects of 2020 so far. This is like a collaboration between all of us where we kind of just picked 5 albums to contribute to like to the group, and then we're gonna try to give you guys them on a somewhat of a grading scale. What do we say, like A through F or A through D or whatever? Because none of them are probably gonna be trash because we all like them to some degree, and we all tried to give each other's albums a listen or two just to see to have some kind of input. Hopefully you guys enjoy. I will start this off, and the first album that I'm going to bring up in this little endeavor that we're doing is Sir Michael Rock's Broken Windows of Opportunity.
Trash.
It came out. This album came out much earlier this year. I think in February, if I'm not mistaken, if not January. It was totally a surprise to me. I had no idea it was coming out. I've been following Sir Michael Rocks for a while now. I think I started listening to him personally back in like 2014. He dropped the album Banco, and then like a year or two later he dropped Popular, and then he kind of worked with Chuck English again, and they did some cool kids things again. Did a couple tracks together, and then I guess he was still working on his solo career too, and he dropped this new project called Broken Windows Opportunity. So when I first heard it, like I didn't really expect much because like he has like kind of like in some cases like a different type of like flow. He has like some weird raps for sure, with some like interesting sounds or whatever, but I know he's like influenced by like video games and anime and all kinds of stuff like that. But he's also a kid that grew up from Chicago. You know what I mean? He's like the same age as us. I think he's actually 30 years old. And he's like been in the rap game forever. I'm sure everybody
32.
knows. Yeah, there you go. He made that song Black Mags with Chuck English. And that was super popular when we were in high school. I think like 2007 is when that song came out. So as soon as I started it up, the first track, it comes in and he kind of like is dropping knowledge. And I was like, oh, dang, that's crazy. The whole album is full of just kind of like him keeping it real, him keeping it 2 Virgils. Him just trying to giving people knowledge and kind of like, but in like obviously a rhythmic fashion, you know what I mean? He's got a song about the art show. He's got a song, the first song on the track, he talks about flipping houses and stuff like that. And just like different little things. And he even has some storytelling elements throughout towards the end of the album. It kind of just all wraps up together really well. And the beat selection is I don't want to say it's the greatest beat selection of all time, but they're good beats. I've heard some beats from him or in his past projects, and I was like, this is like kind of a goofy beat or whatever. And there wasn't really none of that on this album. It all sounds like well done, well made. It's, in my opinion, probably, if not his best, close to his best project. I thought it was really well made. I thought the lyrics were dope. I thought the beats were dope. He had a couple of features. Nobody that I can really remember that was like stood out as far as like somebody incredible fame or anything like that, but definitely give it a check. It's super dope. One of my top favorite albums of this year so far. Every time one of his songs comes on, I definitely play it and I bump it real loud too, just because it kind of slaps a little bit. But yeah, what about you guys? Did you guys get to check it out?
I'll go. I peeped it. I've listened to Sir Michael Rocks a few times, and I agree. If this isn't his best, it's one of his best. I also agree about the beat selection. This one was a little bit slower, but he did kind of go with the traditional hip hop, listen to what I'm saying type of flow. You know what I mean? So like,
Yeah,
he kind of upped his game on this one. And for those of you out there that like rap music, but you have anxiety, this is the album right here because it's super chill. It's super mellow. And actually the other, I won't go deep into it, but the other album or EP that Brandon, we're going to bring up later is also kind of like on the same wavelength. A lot of knowledge, a lot of content, and super chill. Don't expect to have girls get up and start shaking some ass to this album. This is one of those. This is one of those, you on your time, you on the job, you kicking back, but some good content in there. I enjoyed it. I'm gonna give it a low key. I'm gonna give it a 4 or 4.5 stars out of 5. You know what I mean, or whatever that is, B plus. I don't know.
Yeah, I feel it. Yeah.
I'll definitely jump on it next. When I listen to all these projects myself, I basically listened from. We have this little chat where we have our ideas that we throw around for the pod, and when we threw all of our projects on there, I basically went top to bottom. So I went Daniel's albums first, then Taylor's, then Joey's, and I kind of hit this stride with Daniel's music, because Daniel's music is a little bit more about the lyrical miracles, like he always says. So I went from that straight into Sir Michael Rocks, which that is my first experience listening to him personally. So when you guys say that this is one of his best albums, I definitely can say that I really like this album. It does get me interested in seeing and hearing what else he has to offer. But giving this album a listen, I really did like it. It was pretty lengthy for me, and I enjoyed basically almost every minute of it when I was jamming in the car. So I also agree this is a great album. If you haven't heard of it before, you should definitely give it a listen. I'd probably give it about a B as well.
Hey.
All right, and for me, I'm just a little here confused at why I haven't heard of Sir Michael Rocks until now, because I actually appreciated most of this album. Like it was one of those where you just drive around, because for our jobs, we drive around in the truck all the time, and it was one of those you could just put it on and just do whatever you can do to it, and then it had the perfect beat to keep you awake while you were driving, and then it had the perfect beat so that I actually wanted to work while I was listening to this. Usually when I don't want to work, I'm just going to listen to some music for a little bit. I actually double timed it a little bit listening to this album. So I definitely appreciated the beat selection. He actually got me though, because my ringtone is the toasting.
I was going to mention that.
So when that part happened in my song, I paused and I checked my phone. I'm like, what the hell? Am I just hearing things? But yeah, I really enjoyed it. A little bit in the middle, it kind of lagged down a little bit for me, because that's when we started getting to a little bit of a slower melody and all that. But it still wasn't too slow to where I was still engaged with the lyrical content. I was still engaged with the story that he was telling. So I'd give it a solid B- for me. Everybody else, check it out.
For sure. I'd give it a B as well too. So the group consensus will be a B for that album. Who wants to go next?
I guess I'll go. I'll pick one of my albums.
For sure.
One of the albums I picked was I don't want to get too deep into it. Okay, this guy Levin Cali, he's like an R&B artist. I haven't listened to a lot of his music, to be honest. He had a project come out, I believe, last year or maybe 2 years ago, and it was pretty good. I was impressed by half of it, and it's a guy that isn't really known by a lot of people. He's got a nice little voice. He's kind of a mix of like the pop that you would hear on the radio and some soul, and he's kind of got his own melodies. Like you always kind of catch new R&B artists recycling some melodies that you've heard just to kind of be like, give something people that they're comfortable with or familiar with. He kind of breaks the grain a little bit, and I thought it was a little different. He didn't do too much pop, so I liked it enough to where I wanted other people to just kind of take notice and listen to him a little bit. His name's Levin Cali, Leven Kali. The album is called High Tide. So especially I know it's gonna be a very one of those where a lot more females enjoy it than males. But I'm an R&B lover, so I had to rock with this one. I'm gonna give this one a B minus for me as well. You know
Yeah,
what I'm saying?
I gave this one a listen. I've been playing a lot of games like later on, like with my wife, like board games. So I was able to listen to basically all of these albums like late at night. Like when I say late, I'm talking about like 5 a.m. Listening to these type of albums. And it definitely had a vibe to it. And my wife was like sitting there while we were playing our games, just fucking dancing to it. So I can definitely attest for how you're saying that like it's something that it's really slow. It's that old type of R&B type of music where you feel it just hits your soul and you just basically can rock to it. And so I definitely liked it. I agree with you. Definitely, I would also give it about a B minus myself.
Yeah,
I didn't
'cause
listen to the whole album, but I did give a good listen to about half of it.
the features on this album include Sid, Ty Dolla Sign, my guy Smino, and this guy named Topaz Jones, which is really cool. So like the features on there were people that other than Ty Dolla Sign and possibly Sid now, the features on this album were people that I also enjoy that also aren't very popular yet.
Yeah.
So like it was kind of this is kind of like a third tier type of artist trying to get to, get noticed, I guess.
Yeah, for me, I gave it a listen too. But the first thing that really caught my attention was just the names of these songs, bro. Like, "Perfect" is boring. I couldn't figure out where to start. Like, usually, I don't usually don't like starting at the beginning of albums. I like jumping in either on a good feature that I like, or sometimes I'll listen to an album backwards, just to switch it up, just to see, whatever story I can figure out in my head. But I really like the "Perfect" is boring, "Fire in Your Eyes," and "La La La." That was my order. Like literally, that was my order of those three. But I really likes the groove in it. I liked the little bit of the accent that he has in there. It makes some of the songs sound a little bit better, in my opinion. And I really enjoyed having it, just because I don't really listen to music like this. So that's what I really loved about doing this. The one bad thing I'll say about the album that I didn't like was how damn short it was, man. 13 songs. He needed at least 3 more on this album.
hey, there is definitely, and I know other people don't know this because we have our list that we've been sending to each other just for us to listen to each other's albums or choices. But Daniel has this theme of he wants us to listen to a movie. Okay,
Yeah.
his albums are a minimum of an hour and 20 minutes. You know what I'm saying? So
All except like one.
I
All
will
except
admit it
like one
though. Most albums nowadays are probably between 45 minutes to an hour. This album was 33 minutes and 13 songs, so you definitely can work your way through it really quick. You know what I mean? They don't take much time to get through some of these albums.
Yeah, like I forgot it. I forgot I was listening to it by the time it restarted. I was like, "Wait, I heard it already."
Yeah.
Well, for me, you guys pretty much hit most of what I thought on the head, really. Unfortunately, this was one of those albums that I listened to at work. I listened to a lot of the music that we were kind of passing around at work, but I know that Joey's somebody that I really trust especially when it comes to R&B. He's just got like that natural ear for it, and it's one of those albums that even though I wasn't like in the mood to really appreciate it, it's something that I know that I would grow to appreciate in like a solo setting or a more intimate setting, where like I can just kind of chill and vibe to music. I could definitely picture myself listening to these songs over and over again. I did like the features, like you mentioned, the song with Sid. I forget the title of it. It's Made for You. Yeah. That was probably one of my favorite songs on the track. To be honest, I just love Sid's voice. I don't know what it is about her.
100. Exactly. Exactly.
But overall, I thought it was a pretty great project as well too. And I wish I would have heard it in a different setting because I might have given it a different grade. But for right now, I'd probably give it a B.
Yeah, no, it's all good. This is a guy I'm hoping that I think he's talented enough to where he might write a hit or two soon. And if you do and you recognize the voice and looking up, you might be able to refer back to this and be like, so
sure.
You know what I mean? Like, he was getting some motion before. So we'll see. It's happened with some other artists. I'm just shooting this one out there. Hopefully, you never know. Who's next on this one?
My grade was a B+, by the way, so I forgot to say.
All right.
I think
Go next then. Yeah.
okay, I'll go. So the first one I want to bring up is this Gavi album. The first time I even heard of Gavi was because of our coworker. His name's Marco. Shout out to Marco. His wife actually went to beauty school with Gavi's wife, and he was telling me, he's like, yeah, I know this guy. You know, he does music and all that, because we told him that, oh, we're really into music, and especially with the podcast, and then me and Joey rap a little bit and all that. He's like, oh, listen to this guy. He's really good. But
You got to say all that first. You got to say all that first. Go ahead. Go ahead. Go.
say, I'm lost now. But anyway, okay. So we got what I really like about this album is not only like the Spanish half of it, but I like how it's mostly R&B, and he has the rapping in there too. Like, that's one of my main things that I really like about music sometimes, is that some of my favorite artists, they can rap and sing at the same time, and they just flows through it. It's not like forcing it, it's not rushing it. So basically for me, I'd give this a B plus as well, just because towards the end, I'm not gonna lie, I kind of fell asleep the first time I was listening, but I don't know if he was going for that. He was going for the relaxing thing towards the end there, but definitely a B plus for me. What about you guys?
Let me go next. Let me go next, since I know Marco as well. He's actually my supervisor. You know, shout out to Marco. You're my boy, Marco. For real, you're my boy.
He needs that
I'm gonna have to. I'm gonna have to go. I'm gonna just give my grade right now, and then I'm gonna explain why. I'm gonna give it a C. I feel like the reason why, though, part of what you said, I did kind of like, it kind of lulled me a little bit. It kind of lost me. When it first started, I was kind of feeling it. I ain't gonna lie, I was really feeling it at first.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of started to lull me, and then I think listening to that, because if I'm not mistaken, is he like a Christian artist, or like he at least worships God, right?
He's a Christian artist, yes.
Because I heard.
Yeah.
Okay. So I kind of got that in some of the messages. The song, I think it was called "Girl." I thought it was a little bit weird because he said like, "I like the way you pray, girl," or something like that. It was like, I was like, okay, interesting. But
oh, that's the smash in the church. You don't even know. You play that on in my church.
But I'm gonna blame you. This is why I'm gonna blame you for the reason why I ended up not liking him as much, because right after I listened to Gavi, I listened to Bizzle.
Right.
We'll get into that one later. But because of that direct comparison, I was just like, this ain't it. But Bizzle, though, oh, that's it. But I mean, once again, it's probably one of those things that, like, I'd probably have to give another chance, a different environment, and kind of be like, maybe I got to get my head straight or something, and then listen to him, and I could probably appreciate it a little bit more. For right now, though, I'm gonna have to give him a C.
I'm going to go next. I'm going to agree with Brandon. I'm going to go a C even. The guy's talented. He knows how to work his voice. Like Daniel said, he's a singer. He can rap a little bit. He knows how to work his voice. And for somebody who, he doesn't exactly sing secular music, because he is a Christian artist, it's an easy transition for a lot of, or what I would imagine would be an easy transition for a lot of people who listen to that style sounding of music, which is kind of like, I don't know, what kind of genre would you guys call it, like in secular music? You know what I mean? Kind of like the softer side of Future, but with like better bars. You know what I mean? I don't know how to describe it. It's just, it feels like it goes so easy into.
I feel like
it's popular now.
I feel like it's a mix of what you said, Future, and that J Balvin guy.
Yeah, he's kind of
That's
like
that's a good comparison.
kind of like a
that's
mix.
great.
And I do agree. He came out swinging hard. The first 5 tracks, I was like, whoa, what's up? Like, you know what I mean? Like, what's up here? When I heard a little bit of the Spanish, I was like, okay, I'm with that. You know what I mean? The bilingual, let it shine. And then I think you guys are right too. As the album went on, it drug out a little bit. But I found myself, I realized like this is something where I can come back and listen to the beginning of the album again. So it wasn't a complete, like, I got bored at all. So I'm going to go ahead and give it a C as well. But it was a good listen. And it's one of those where I think I would listen to his other projects to kind of pick and choose the songs that I like and add them to my, my circulation.
Oh, I can agree with that completely.
I was gonna say this is probably also one of the albums that if some of the songs had just been a little bit shorter, it probably would captivate you more. Just because the next song would go and be like, oh, that's the end of that one. Oh, dang, I was feeling that, or I was starting to feel that. You get that feeling and you kind of take it away, and you're just like, oh, what the heck, like. So for some of those songs, I think if you would have just shortened it a little bit, it probably would have been like it probably would have set it over the top for me.
Yeah.
And to be fair, people don't know this yet, but the other albums that Daniel selected are filled with lyricists.
Oh,
so
yes.
This album in comparison to the others doesn't know justice, but when you were listening to it by itself, it's you can listen to it. You know what I'm saying? So I'm gonna give it a hard C. Go ahead.
Yeah, I'm gonna agree with both of y'all on that. I do agree that it is a pretty good album. I liked listening to what it had to say, what kind of the messages were in each of his songs. But unfortunately, I got to say the same thing that you guys said. I listened to these top to bottom. So in between the two albums that he has up there, including Bizzle After, it kind of hit me with like, man, I really enjoyed listening to the prior album. This album started great, and then I went straight into Bizzle, and I was like, man, I kind of forgot about the album a little bit.
Yeah,
it kind of got sandwiched, and that's no fault of how it was. It's just how we ended up listening to it in most cases. So I definitely would give it another shot. I'd give it another listen, definitely. And
I like that album title though, Heathen.
Yeah,
kind of.
And I would definitely agree with a C, probably a C plus for me, just because I do like the vibe that it sets off. And then on top of it, I definitely do agree with Joey on I definitely would pick and choose songs out of this album, but I don't think I would listen to the whole album front to back.
Go, you're up, DJ.
All right. So just in fairness of being able to give a little bit more variety, as well as like we said before, a lot of these albums that we have on here are a part of our favorite albums. I definitely have some albums from your guys' list that I would consider one of my top fives. But in order in retrospect of making it a little bit more diverse, I did throw in a couple other ones. So the first one I'm going into is Cruella. Cruella dropped an album called Zero earlier this year, and for most people that don't know what Cruella is, they are a house more like a dub house type of artists. They were back in the day, they were huge in like 2010, 2011 for a lot of their heavy house music that they used to play. But they just came out with this album. They dropped their old DJ back in like 2012, and they've basically built their own identity. They're swaying a little bit less from house and more towards their singing, because that's one thing that sets Cruella apart, is that the two sisters actually sing on their tracks, and since they DJ for themselves, I thought that it was a good album. It wasn't super long. It's kind of like an EP, if you ask me. I mean, it has 11 tracks. They're about 35 minutes, but it's definitely an album that I listen to. I listen to a lot of house and a lot of electronic music whenever I'm trying to work out or trying to get my blood going. So this is definitely an album that I listen to, that I like to get pumped up to.
Yeah, I liked it for the most part. The one thing I would say I disliked was I'm one of those guys. I don't like hearing women cuss. I'm sorry, but like every time she did it really threw me off. Especially after listening to some of the albums I was listening to on your list, but they were a lot more kickback, a lot more chilled out. And but she had some fire beats though.
Right.
There was this one song, I forget. I'm gonna look real quick. I think it was called Ghost, if I remember right. But that beat was absolute fire. Like, it had me dancing in the truck. I was humming it when I was going through the store. Like, that's how impactful it was on me. I was walking up and down the aisles and all that. But I definitely loved the instrumentation. I loved the singing and the vibe that it brought, except for when she started cussing. That's the only negative thing I have about that.
I'll go in. I listened to it. I'll be the first to say that house music and EDM and techno, like, I'm not trying to group it or anything, was like the last genre that I ever really dipped, my ears into. You know what I mean? Just because I love music so much, and I got this like this idea stuck in my mind of just melody, chorus, verse, melody. You know what I mean? Like, I had this, and you have to understand that with this genre of music, it's really all a feel. And a lot of times you either get so much into the beat you stop listening to the lyrics, or the lyrics throw you off, and you, like, for me personally, the lyrics would throw me off and I end up changing the song. But because we recently in the last few months we talked about some of the Weeknd's music, he has a lot of this style sounding stuff within his albums too. So I think that kind of got me ready to listen to this. And I like to listen to the music if it's, if they offer it. I like to listen to music for the first time with the lyrics showing, and that really helped me. And then when the beats dropped, I was like, okay, yeah, hell yeah. You know what I mean? Like, it was really in there. So it was, I'm not so much bothered by the cursing by a woman, because I feel like a lot of times when men do it, it just sounds like passion. So when
talk to me dirty, girl.
When a woman does it, it didn't bother me so much. But she did talk about some, or who, I don't know who is who. I know it's sisters, but one of them did talk about some real stuff. They have this song called Anxiety, and the bars in there were raw. I was like, damn, I could hear like J. Cole saying something like this, just like not on the same genre of music. So as soon as I wrapped my mind around this is their style and this is how they project their art, I was with it, man. And the buildups and the beat drops did not disappoint on this one. So good recommendation on this one. I'm gonna give this one a B as well. Just sometimes my only downfall with like EDM and this style of music is sometimes I'm ready for beats to be over, because I enjoy the vocal part of it. You know what I mean? So
and that's understandable, especially with that type of music.
So especially for like us having this conversation, I even sent it to our group chat. I was like, yo, y'all was pleasantly surprised with this, because I had no hopes going into it. I won't lie, but I was pleasantly surprised with some of the beat drops.
Same. I absolutely didn't really expect much from this album. Obviously, DJ's kind of like the person who listens to like the most different music, as far as like he's more into rock and roll and EDM and stuff like that. And I feel like the rest of us are more into hip hop. But I definitely was just pretty much expecting a like, like just kind of like mind numbing and be like, all right, let's get this over with, But as I was listening to it, like low key, like first I was ignoring it. I was just like, all right, it's just playing or whatever. And then like kind of like how Daniel said, he started talking about humming it, and I was like, it was in my head, and I was like, wait a minute, I'm listening to this, like this is kind of tight, like, and I think the fact that I was so surprised kind of like amplified it more for me, and I was like able to appreciate it more, like, oh, like these beats are not just like regular old like house EDM beats, like they're pretty nice. They complement the the artist very well, like like their vocals and stuff like that. I think my favorite song personally though was Martyr. It kind of reminded me of that. Yes. I don't remember what the song is called, but Emogene Heap song. That ooh, what you say? Yep. Yeah, like it kind of reminded me of that, and I was like, dang, I feel this. I actually added it to my like songs. But overall, I liked the project. I thought it was dope, and I definitely chimed in there like, oh dang, like this has surprised the heck out of me, So I would definitely give it a B2, probably a B plus, just because the surprise kind of pushes it over the edge for me. It was really good and unexpected. Great pick, DJ.
A few songs in there too you could add to like your gym or your workout playlist, because
for sure
something about that EDM music, when the beat starts to just really get to you, like it doesn't matter what the hell they're saying, if they're saying anything.
It's because they're usually rolling when you're listening to it. Anyway,
yeah, like, where does Molly come from?
Oh man. All right, the next album that I want to talk about is Thundercat. It Is What It Is. What is there to say about this album other than it's a masterpiece and it'll probably be remembered in history? No,
he is like a present day Mozart, but with the bass. It's just
it's brilliant.
It's just so much going on at once that people who can't like, like. I would understand why people don't like it, is what I'm saying. I know why I like it, but I know that with Thundercat, there's a good chance that some people just can't get with it because there's so much going on.
It gives me a much, much grander appreciation for instrumentation.
100.
Like I tend to I like beats. I'm more attracted to beats, and of course I do listen to lyrics too. But when I'm listening to this project, I tend to kind of single out the instruments and understand the fact that they're probably all there just jamming out, like he's got a band there and they're just going in on all the tracks. And I'm just like, dang, dude, the vibe on that, the energy in that room, it had to be a completely different experience, let alone the fact that I forget how many songs the whole album is. It's not very many, I don't think. But there was probably so much more music made that we're just never going to hear, or potentially we might hear on a future project. That's how like just powerful like the thoughts that I get from listening to the instruments alone are. You know, I said it before and I'll say it again. It makes me wish I would have seen him at Flognaw. It really makes me wish I would have seen him at Flognaw just to get that initial experience and be like, I'm sure I would have been mind blown and be like, let me dive into it right now. I'm going to see what he's doing. Because then shortly after that, obviously came out with this album and I'm just like, it's beautiful. And the title track, it is what it is. It is what it is. That might legitimately be my favorite song of 2020. My favorite song. It is so beautifully well done. When the freaking
that beat drop at the end.
Oh my god! I can't.
It's hard. Yeah.
It is probably one of the most profound and beautiful things that I've heard in my life. Honestly, I can't think of anything. I can't put nothing from Tyler above that. Like some people have some brilliant transitions. That transition into like all that instrumentation is just like it just takes you somewhere. And I'm gonna go on a limb and say I'm gonna give this album an A. I'm gonna give it an A. I got to.
That's man, wildin'.
I mean, it's not surprising at all. Man, we had this conversation about Thundercat a couple episodes ago, and how he just be fired on everybody's albums, and how he's so fired on Mac Miller's albums. Right. So I'm definitely not surprised you have the A. I really enjoyed it too, but the crazy part is I'm sitting here trying to figure out how he still got fingers, because I don't know how he be moving it so fast.
That's true, man. You sit back and wonder, like, how does he make all of these sounds with two hands, and it sounds like he's playing a piano with bass sounds coming off of it.
Right.
You know what I mean?
I tried to do some air guitar, just to try to keep up, and I caught a cramp low key. I had to go ahead and crack the knuckles a couple of times. But the beauty part about this album is nobody would have to say anything, and I would have still listened to it. Just listening to him, listening to all the music in there, all the different instruments that was going on, it was just a beautiful thing just to sit there and listen to it. Like, you can low key meditate to this album.
Yes.
My favorite album, just because the title is House Way. that's my favorite stuff. House Way. Like, he's just so like, it's crazy because. Like I've always felt this about Thundercat is I feel like a lot of his songs are so momentary. So when you listen to them, it takes you to a certain moment in time. You know what I mean? But at the same time, it's like very, what are they like it? Like his music just, it's forever lasting. You know what I'm saying? Like you can go back and listen to it later, but then still like think about a certain time, listen to what he's saying. It's very personal. It's very cool. He brings a lot of different melodies that you're not used to hearing, but he's so smart. People don't like, if you have some time, go to YouTube and look up Thundercat talking about music and bass lines. This man is so smart. So when you hear his music and you're like, well, you talk about music, how it's so technical and you like these bass lines, but when you listen to him, it's almost like, how come you don't do that? Because he's so good at doing what everybody else is good at. He's literally playing with it now. You know what I'm saying? Like, you have your buddy that like is good on bicycles. Like he could do a wheelie, but your other friend is like so good on bicycles. He could wheelie for like 3 blocks. You know what I'm saying? Like that's Thundercat. He's like so advanced technically that he's literally playing with it. Yeah. So it just blows my mind. Even if at some point I get lost in the sound and I'm literally lost in the song because I don't know, like, is this a bridge? Is this a chorus? Is this a buildup? I don't know. So much going on, and then it just breaks down, and you're like, oh,
yeah,
relief.
I can 100% agree with that sort of statement because I feel the same way in the fact that I hadn't heard of Thundercat before. I mean, I didn't even know, like, up until I heard this album. I know we talked about it a couple of episodes ago, but I didn't know he was on, like, the song from These Walls by Kendrick Lamar. I didn't know he was featured in that song. I just knew the song. And after hearing it again, it kind of hit me with that, oh man, this is the same vibe, the same sort of like just feel. And just like how you said, you can just get lost in that music. The technicality of some people, if you're real technical with your music prowess, and you know how to manipulate beats and manipulate notes and make them just flow in a way that just it like I got completely lost in this album, and I also agree that this is a great album. We talked about it a bunch on the last on one of our last episodes, and I agree. I think it is definitely worthy of an A myself.
Is that a group consensus? Are we all giving this an A?
I didn't even grade it, but I'm gonna go A-, man. Like you can't help but not just listen to all of it.
Yeah,
for sure. What say you, Daniel?
Yeah, it's an A for me.
All right, nice. All right, Joey.
Okay, I'm gonna throw this one out there. This is one I was considering a few times back and forth, and I threw it on the list because I couldn't ignore the fact that I kept going back to listen to a few songs.
Oh,
and
man.
It's that Don Toliver Heaven or Hell album. And I won't even front you. I've heard Don Toliver once or twice. He even has a song, I believe, on the Madden 20. I've heard him in features. I've heard him here and there. I didn't even know he was really attached to Travis Scott because I don't listen to Travis Scott much. I'm more of a Kid Cudi guy myself. No offense. It's just that's kind of how it fell in line. But Travis Scott gets very, I don't know, like for lack of a better term, like I'm gonna give you a made up term, computery. But Don Toliver won me over with his melodies, man. I couldn't help it. I kept going back listening to No Photos. That's my shit. And I found myself going back to the album, listening over and over and over again until I realized, like, hey, fuck it, I like this guy.
Yeah.
So I couldn't find, like, I couldn't think of no reason why not to like it anymore. I feel like, I didn't want to feel like an old head, like, oh, everything new is just, this ain't like the old days and this ain't blah, blah, blah. And I was just like, that's bull crap, because last year I learned to like YBN Corday, and he's a youngin', you know what I'm saying? He's of the new generation. I just really messed with this, and I really liked the fact that there was somebody of a certain genre, I guess, of like a new wave artist that I could really grasp onto, and Don Toliver was it for me.
Facts. Well, you got a grade for him?
I'm gonna go B+ on this one. I mess with this one tough.
I feel you. So this is one of those ones that definitely I had considered putting on my top 5 as well. I definitely find myself going back to this album a lot, and also the Chopped and Screwed version. It's phenomenal. Pretty much every song you can listen to over and over again. It's not like the greatest like lyrics for your soul or anything, but just the for what he's doing, it's perfect. There's slaps, there's slower melodies. It's a good mix of stuff, and it's literally an album that I feel like if you played it at a party, you could literally play the whole album through, and nobody would say anything about it.
Because it's also a short, 36 minutes long. You know what I'm saying? Like it's not that long. And
facts.
normally guys who have kind of like singy rap voices, it's hard to listen to them over and over and over, but because his album was so short and the songs were very, like, the songs sounded different, you know what I'm saying? Normally guys like this, you kind of like, even Travis Scott, he's makes great music, the numbers will tell you, the fans will tell you, but a lot of his songs are still kind of like, we know you live off the beat. I feel like I could take these lyrics off of this song, put it on this song, it'd be the same. In this case, it wasn't so much like that, and maybe that's why I kind of like, okay, this is my Travis Scott. You know what I mean? Like, this is my guy.
Like the song After Party, like that's a turn up song. That's a thumper for sure. You could definitely turn up to that song. And then the song like Company, it has like a slightly different vibe. It still is kind of more upbeat, but it's kind of like a song that you could probably listen to with somebody in a more intimate setting. That I need you up on the, like, oh man, it was a great album. And in all honesty, if I'm gonna, this might be kind of reaching a little bit. I think I'm gonna give him an A. First round, first project out. I think it was nothing but hits. I think I'm gonna give it an A.
Yeah, you reaching. Obviously we can say this is gonna be my negative review for this one, and it's not even his fault. Well, it's low key his fault, but whoever helped produce this, which I'm assuming was Travis Scott, because the melodies and the flows he kept using kept reminding me of other people. Like as soon as it came on, I kept hearing Travis Scott, I kept hearing Post Malone, and I kept hearing a little bit of Ty Dolla in there too. So it was like I feel like I didn't really quite get Don Toliver.
I can agree to that.
I felt like I got the synthetic version of him because everybody else, whoever was above him in the process, was like, okay, let's make it sound like this. Even though he probably had it a certain way in his mind and his vision, but the other people came in and were like, twist it a little bit so we can cater to this crowd a little bit on this song, cater to this crowd on the other song. So that's the negative for me. So I gave it a C plus, even though I did listen to the whole thing. I did get through it. So that was a positive thing for me, but it kept reminding me of other people. So that's why I gave it a C plus.
Jumping on with what Daniel said as well. I kind of agree, and I can see exactly what he's talking about whenever you're listening to it, and you can definitely hear the influences, which sometimes can be really great if an artist, you can hear their influences based on who they're around, who helps produce their music and what team they're a part of. Like you hear that sort of stuff with like JID whenever you hear what he can be and what his possibilities of being is. But I do have to agree that I don't, with the whole vibe that I was going through on all these albums, it kind of switched that vibe up a little bit, which there's nothing wrong with. I think that, like Brandon said, if you put this album on a party, it's definitely something that you could rock with, something you can hear track after track. There are some bangers in there. I also would like to say that I'd probably give it like a C plus or a B minus. Being the first instance of hearing from Don Toliver, I am not disappointed, because obviously this is the first time I've ever heard of him. But it is, I definitely do agree that I need to hear more of him rather than hearing his influences.
I could agree to that. I could definitely. That's why I said it's kind of like a subgenre of this style of hip hop, you know?
Yeah.
Like Daniel named them right on the head. You know what I mean? You definitely hear what we would consider influences of that genre, but you can just kind of tell like this is what he listened to and this is his version of it, even though there's some similarities. I think the lyrics is what got me. He said, "I'm gonna send your bitch back home in new clothes." Bro, that is so hard. He said, bro, don't even worry about it. Don't break up with her. I'm gonna bring her back and I'm gonna bring her well clothed, bro. Don't even worry about it. So I was like, oh, that's hard, bro.
Also, you got to take it
a hard part. I don't know what it is.
Yeah, you got to take it into consideration. Also, putting him up there with the influences that we can hear from it, it does put him in good company. Thinking about how big like Post Malone or Ty Dolla $ign or how
Correct.
these like are Travis Scott, putting him in that sort of company is great. I just need to hear him branch out from that. If he can mimic that style but make it his own, then I think that he could definitely do great in the music industry.
So Daniel and DJ gave him a C, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
We're pretty much at a B minus for this one. If we combine both of ours.
And it averages out to like a C plus. So yeah, so it's all good though. Daniel or DJ, which one do you guys want to go next?
I'll go ahead and I'll jump in with the King Crooked and Mr. Yawa himself, Joel Ortiz.
Happy 40th birthday to him too. He just turned 40 yesterday.
Yeah,
Joe.
Yeah, it's crazy because, first of all, these two guys are part of the group Slaughterhouse. You guys know, but for the listeners, Slaughterhouse is one of my favorite groups over the past 10 years. They haven't made music anymore because some beef that happened between them. So having these two together on a song again was just music to my ears already. Like I was already halfway liking the album and hadn't even heard it yet. Just because I got both of them together. So I really like. You guys know me, the lyrical, spiritual, miracle stuff. I'm all for that. The hard bars, I'm all for that. And they are packed full of this. The double entendres from beginning to end, even though
top to bottom.
Even the little slow song they kind of threw in there was it wasn't really my cup of tea though, that one, but they still packed it with bars. So, but I hated that song, low key. And Joe Budden really hyped up one of the bars that he had in there. It was called "Get Your Money," and as soon as I found the song, I sent that to Brandon. I was like, "Yo, these are the bars right here. Check them out." And I feel like he was impressed with them too. But I'll let him go next. So I'll let you guys know.
Honestly, this project, so like kind of like you said, I think you said earlier, DJ or Joy, I'm not sure which one of you guys said, but a lot of Daniel's like musical taste has a lot of lyrical miracles. Slaughterhouse obviously was full of guys with lyrical ability. Joe Budden, King Crooked, Joel Ortiz, Royce the 5'9". They were an incredible group, and they all on their own can definitely pack a punch when it comes to any artist that they are featured on, they can definitely hang with them. If not, outshine them every time. As soon as I started listening to this album, I realized that right away. Again, of course, and I think for me, there are artists that like I need to listen to again or multiple times because they're gonna say things that are gonna go over my head. They're gonna say these double and triple entendres, like you said, and I'm gonna miss certain things. I'm gonna catch some of the nice little golden gems, but I'm not gonna get the full thing off of one listen. In a weird way, that kind of is a downfall for me. But at the same time, it kind of it kind of gives me a hunger for more because I want to hear it again because I want to see what I miss. I want to catch those little tidbits like, oh man, like, somebody tells me, oh, you heard this bar? Did you get it? And I'm like, yeah, he meant this. And like, oh, but did you get the other thing? The other thing, stuff like that. I thought for personally, the album was pretty good overall. It was a little bit it wasn't really long at all, so that was great too. And I feel like I'm actually really excited to see if they actually are going to do that whole like kind of reunion thing with all of them, as far as Royce, Joe, King Crooked, and Joel. But obviously, only time will tell.
Yeah,
and I'd give it a solid B too for sure.
I'll jump straight on right after Taylor when he was talking about how it was really short. I mean, this, out of all the albums that I was expecting from Daniel, this one was only 26 minutes long in total. So it kind of made me feel the same way. Is that like I did not catch everything, and since it's such a small, short window of 26 minutes, you can get a lot down in there. But for the tracks, it kind of made me actually want a little bit more. I kind of wanted to hear more from them, because if they put so much meaning into this small 26-minute window, it made me kind of feel like, well, I want to see what else they have to offer. But at the same time, it does make you feel as though there's a lot more quality as opposed to the quantity as you get to usually hear. So I definitely would give it a B myself as well. It was a surprise for me because I haven't heard from Slaughterhouse in a while. Me personally, I don't usually listen to a lot of their music other than Royce, and I liked it. I definitely liked this album.
I'll go in. Hard by Joel Ortiz and King Crooked slaps, bro. The only issue I have with artists from Slaughterhouse, top to bottom, Eminem and his route tree, is beat selection. And even though the beats do go hard sometimes, they have this slower industrial sounding thing that makes me feel like I'm listening to like what's his name from New York? What's it? He's like Puerto Rican. But the beat selection can just get a boost from me. But everything they saying is on point. Like the writing scheme is untouched, bro. Like, I don't know if you were at one point entrusted by Eminem to rap on his music, like, come on, you know what I'm saying? It was hard, bar for bar. The only thing I could say is some of the tracks, the actual sound of the beats get a little boring and drug on, and that's how a lot of guys get their punch out. But I feel myself listening to these tracks more like I'm trying to understand everything they're saying as opposed to just enjoying the track. So like I do get lost with them sometimes, but it's one of those cases where you do have to listen to these songs two times, maybe three times, because when you start to pick up the things that you might have missed the first time, then you're just all about it. You know what I'm saying? Screw what everything else sounds like. As soon as you realize what they're saying, when the poetry comes full circle, then you're all about it. But I'm gonna give this one an A- just because the bars is up there, man. The bars is up there. I mean, this out of all the albums that we chose, this is top 3 bars wise. If we're
absolutely. Yeah.
Everything that Daniel had to offer was lyrically, and like whenever you think about the lyrics and the bars that they have to provide, is I've always expect that whenever Daniel's offering something.
Yeah, that and especially tracks 1 through 3 started hard. Get Your Money and Caddy Bump. Those 3 to start the album was hard. I like all.
I also like that their whole like these rappers can't see us attitude. You know, like they know that they're good and they act like it in their raps. Like that's always kind of refreshing. Like you might not be the biggest name in the world, but it's like I'll mess you up. Like I like that attitude.
We just really need to start something on Instagram or YouTube. We need to see these old heads versus new school rap battles, like for real. Just to put these kids in a coffin one time. You know what I'm saying? Like just to let them know, like, yeah, you guys like your music, you guys like this, but let's see what happens when we step toe to toe with some OGs that really know how to spit on the mic, bro. Because I guarantee you, it's not going to be fun for some.
Also on that album cover, is that Ronald Reagan holding a brick?
No, it's government cheese.
Oh, okay.
Government cheese.
I was like, why is Ronald Reagan holding a brick? What's going on?
Hey, Brandon, some would say that is the exact same.
You ain't lying. You ain't lying. Shoot.
If it don't go in solid, it's coming out solid, I promise.
For real. So I gave it a B. Joy gave it an A. What'd you give it, Daniel and DJ?
A- for me.
Okay.
I gave it a B as well.
Okay. So what does that give it a? All right. And who's got next? Oh, DJ, you're next. Yeah. You are up next, sir.
Keeping with how I've been doing it so far, I'm going to jump into another genre of music that a lot of people from at least our generation grew up with. So I'm bringing up Gigatron by Pearl Jam. For the people that don't know, Pearl Jam's been a band, a rock and roll, kind of grungy band from the 90s. So a lot of people growing up during that time knew of the old Pearl Jam and how their grungy sound, how basically they ruled the 90s whenever it came to grunge music, along with Nirvana and what eventually became the Foo Fighters and those type of bands. But hearing Pearl Jam after all this time, it has been years for me. Their last album came out in 2013, which really wasn't an album. It was more so of like a compilation of some of their old tracks mixed with new tracks. So their last true album for me wasn't until 2009, which that was 10 years ago. That was like a decade ago. Now 11 years now. So hearing some Pearl Jam, it definitely got me back into that vibe. It's kind of like what we were talking about in the chat. You get what you expected, and I definitely appreciated the music since it's been so long. It's not super progressive in its sound. It's almost exactly what you expect whenever you hear from them. They have a bunch of good songs.
Man.
Yeah, yep, rock is rock.
Those
first 5 tracks from that album for me were amazing. They definitely captivated me, pulled me into what the rest of the album would be. For me, I definitely give it a B+. But that's my personal style. I grew up loving rock, so you'll definitely hear that sort of influence from me.
I'll go next on this one. I'm gonna agree with the B+. I love rock music, and I was actually pulling up on my friend Devion, who listens to a lot of rock too, and he didn't know what we were listening to, but he was jamming, and I had just started the album. People that don't know, Pearl Jam did. I believe their band started in 1990, but one of the lead guys, Eddie Vedder, who plays. I mean, he's a songwriter, and he plays a bunch of instruments, but mostly guitar. These guys formed in 90, but they're like in their 50s. So they've been playing their instruments and singing since like the early 70s. And when you're listening to them, and I don't know if you guys have, got to listen to a lot of other, different ages of rock, but when you listen to Pearl Jam, you get so many different styles of rock and roll in one band, and that's why I absolutely love this album. You get a lot of 90s grunge, you get a lot of the soul and writing from like the 70s and like the grooves from the 80s, the harder stuff from the 80s, a lot of that hard rock from the 80s, and a lot of smooth melodies. And this is one where like it makes me want to just play the album, go out to the ballpark and hit some batting practice. Like that's kind of like the vibe I got from this. It's so good, man. It's so good. It's produced well. And for rock and roll music, it don't get much better than this, especially for a band that's like 30 plus years in the game.
Yeah, there's not a lot of bands out that have survived that long other than them, Foo Fighters, and bands of the like. You don't hear a lot of them anymore.
So I'm going to give this one a B+ as well. It was a long ass album though.
For real. For real on that one. You talking about my albums being long. Good Lord, DJ. But this one, it started off amazing. Like it immediately took me back to the Guitar Hero days. I wanted to.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say.
Exactly. Exactly.
So it was like as soon as the song jumps in, and I was sitting there jamming, and I listened to it all the way on the way home today. I was let me just start this Pearl Jam. Let me see how far I get. And I listened to the entire thing. It took me from all the way from Fallbrook all the way home. That's how long it was. But
Jesus.
But for real, it was. How can I say this? It was real in depth for me as far as because this is one of the only albums where I didn't care what they were saying, and that made me happy and sad at the same and scared at the same time because I don't know what the heck they just told my subconscious to do while I was zoned out and hypnotized on this music. But at the same time, I loved it because I was really just trying to listen to the music. The same way I said about Thundercat, it's the same thing you can say about this album. Just listening to just the instrumentation and the music, you wouldn't even have to hear what they were saying. It'd be an enjoyable album, and it was because I totally forgot I was listening to this one in the middle section of this album. I totally forgot I was listening to this album until I got to the end, and I was, oh yeah, I'm listening to Pearl Jam.
Nice. For me, I'd probably also give it a B as well. Kind of like what Daniel said, it definitely kind of brought back some nostalgic feeling as far as like back when I used to either watch people play Guitar Hero or play Rock Band or Guitar Hero myself. It also kind of made me think of my brother. He's been asking me a lot recently if I wanted to play guitar or Rock Band, and I would be like, no, I'm playing Call of Duty and other stuff, and now I'm just like, man, maybe I should play. Listening to the album, it's a really smooth and easy listen. It's nothing super. The sounds are not super far out there or super crazy or anything like that. It's not super like experimental or anything. It's really nice and pleasing to listen to. I can't really imagine. So when I first, I'm not super huge into rock, but when I first like saw like obviously the songs that DJ picked, I know like when we were younger, he used to always talk about he was like super into death metal. I didn't know nothing about Pearl Jam, and I was just like, damn, we're about to listen to this shit. They're gonna be screaming in my ears. Fuck. Okay, all right, let's do this. And as soon as I started listening, and I was like, I had a complete change of heart, and I was like, this is really nice. This is who he's talking about. Oh, okay, these Pearl Jam guys aren't bad, you know. And I enjoyed it. I had a good time listening to it. That's probably why I'd give it a B. It wasn't necessarily like the supreme or cream of the crop or anything, but it was nice and pleasant through and through. There's nothing I can necessarily say that was awful about it at all. But I just wouldn't say that it was like the best thing I ever heard or anything like that. But it was good. It was overall, it was good. I enjoyed it.
It brought me back to the days a little bit when I used to listen to. Wow, I can't believe I'm about to admit this, but back to the days I used to listen to System of a Down a little bit. So that's and a little bit of like it mixed between that and Blink-182 a little bit for me. It's just
that's just around the time you were listening to rock. It don't sound like System of a Down, but I understand what you're saying.
Yeah, I get what you're saying too.
It's funny you say that because I just added Toxicity and Chop Suey to my playlist recently.
You got to throw those in your workout playlist.
Yeah. Oh yeah,
no, you got to get Aerials in there too. Aerials in the sky.
Man, rock music has been very influential, man.
I kind of want to go back to back. I know I just talked about this album. If you want to finish it off with what you think the grade was, but I kind of want to go back and go again basically with my next album just because it's basically finishes off the type of music that I put on.
Hold on, before you go any further, do we all grade it? I know I got to be.
Yeah, we got
Joey said B plus. B across the board. All right, cool.
So I kind of want to roll straight into my next album just because we're currently talking about rock and we're currently talking about those type of projects, and the last sort of out there album that I want to put on here, because my other two albums are basically with hip hop. They're hip hop and they're more onto the style that we usually talk about on this show. But my other album that I wanted to put out there was Avenged Sevenfold's Diamonds in the Rough. Now, this album came out really early this year. I think it came out in like February. But I was pleasantly surprised because they were going through a lot of legal issues with their record label. They were trying to drop their label and they were trying to basically reinvent themselves. Their singer was going through some things that were wrong with him and his vocals himself. But this album dropped, and I was surprised. I wasn't expecting it, obviously, but this is a metal album. This is 100% that type of metal that Brandon was afraid that I was gonna bring when I said Pearl Jam, but this was hardcore metal headbanging music. It's not no death metal. It's nothing that you're gonna like. People are roaring and screaming just because this guy's vocals. He did injure his vocal cords early in his career, but it definitely was a hard rock / metal album. It was kind of a compilation because it had re-releases of 6 songs from their past. But I was surprised by this album. I thought it was a really great album. It was, at the time in February, I said it was my favorite rock / metal album of the year. Obviously, now I kind of have to give that to Pearl Jam. But I definitely do think that this is one of my favorite albums when it came to that style of genre at the time.
I hate that so much, bro. Like, I could, like, I tried so hard to listen to this, and I tried so hard to enjoy this. I could not get over that the yelling and the screaming stuff. Like, it reminds me of the devil every time. So
well, the first track was called Demons.
Yeah, so that's why I was like, I couldn't. The Christian in me wouldn't let me enjoy it the way I wanted to. I'm sorry.
I was actually listening to a lot of the drummer. I was an Avenged Sevenfold fan back in the day, like back when I was in high school, and I know that their drummer, the Rev, Jimmy Sullivan, he passed away in like 2009. So I wasn't really sure where I was going with this because that guy used to wail, man.
Oh yeah,
that guy used to get down on the drums, and a lot of that era, the early 2000s, the instrumentalists, especially on like hard rock and metal and stuff, those guys really got down. Like, you can't listen to this and tell me your thighs don't start to hurt thinking about playing those drums, bro. Like, you can't tell me your thighs don't start throbbing just thinking about somebody sitting back there going, hilarious. And you're like, geez. You're like, sheesh. But I'm gonna agree with Daniel a little bit. This style of rock is harder for me to really grasp to, but there's a lot of talent in it, and I'm not trying to take that away. So I'm going C on this one. I'm gonna go C straight across because there was some songs where I found myself catching the groove, and there was other songs that just sounded like a lot of chords, and I just couldn't make it out. Like, I couldn't make it out the end of some of those songs. So I'm gonna give it a C on this one. But this is another one of those genres where I'll go in, listen to the whole album, and pick a few out. But in comparison to the Pearl Jam one really, really got me. So this one's getting a C. Kind of like how the Gavin guy fell because of the rest of the albums.
Yeah, I'm just not that angry anymore to enjoy this. So yeah, C- for me.
That's actually kind of interesting because I listened to the Pearl Jam album first, and then I listened to the Avenged Sevenfold album, and while it was definitely different and a kind of a somewhat harsh transition because, the Pearl Jam album was way softer, at first I was like, oh man, like, this is what we're gonna sit through, huh? But as like the album progressed and went on, some of the tone shifted a little bit. There was some softer songs, nothing that was ever like low or slow tempoed, but like just a little bit slower. It kind of felt a little bit more emotionally. And low key, one of my favorite songs on the album was "Flash of the Blade." That was pretty up tempo and just kind of hardcore, whatever. There's something about like, it's obviously not my favorite genre, but like the energy that is like used to make it definitely influences like the sound of it for me. And like, while I know like, a lot of it is like drums and guitar and the bass, whatever, and obviously this guy kind of like doing some, number with his vocals. The energy that I know that these guys are exerting right now, like, it also kind of influences me and is like, all right, it gives me energy too, so it's like, I can't help but to kind of get more lively when I'm listening to this kind of stuff. It's not necessarily my cup of tea, but it's like, all right, like, I'm awake now. I'm alert. I'm definitely functioning. I'm definitely kind of like taking it in or whatever and taking it for what it's worth. I wouldn't say that it's, it was a bad album by any means. It's just not for me, obviously, but I'd probably give it like a B-.
It makes me want to play Tony Hawk Pro Skater and any of those car racing games, bro. Like, it makes you want to go fast, don't it? Like,
bro, so a lot of A lot of people don't know, but Avenged Sevenfold had 2 songs on Need for Speed Underground 2, which
Yes,
some people
sir.
Oh, wow.
consider the best Need for Speed.
And it sure was.
And I definitely that was one of the first times I heard them, other than Madden, because I heard one of their songs Backcountry from Madden. But
Oh
yeah,
yeah, that's one of their most famous songs too.
yeah. So they definitely had some hits back when the Rev was alive, and you could hear them in the games, and that obviously would influence a bunch of the music that I ended up listening to in the future.
Definitely got some video game vibes on this. That hard rock is like, it's an intense feeling, and I think that's why sometimes it's hard for people to just sit down and listen to it, because like you have to be in motion, because your mind will go crazy trying to catch up to this music if you're just chilling.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So like you got to be, working out or doing
Workout
cocaine.
playlist, bro.
Yeah.
Working out or
For
doing
sure.
cocaine. That's hilarious.
Why do you think those drummers play so fast? Come on, you mean to tell me how back there, sniffing the sandy, you know what I'm saying?
Smacking the dust off the drum set. Yeah. Moving on next with the list, I will bring out Run the Jewels 4 by Run the Jewels, which is Killer Mike, and I forget what the other guy's name is. I always forget the other guy's name. But I thought the album was great. Killer Mike did a wonderful job. There was a ton of features on the album. There wasn't really any wasted bars. The Run the Jewels kind of has the mix of talk shit, but then like give you some enlightenment at the same time, which is always brilliant. I added pretty much the whole album to my playlist. Ooh La La, I've listened to that on repeat a bunch of times. Never Look Back, I also enjoyed that. Walking in the Snow, that's one of my favorite tracks as well. Out of Sight featuring 2 Chainz, I thought he was a welcome addition to that song, and I thought the whole album, like I said, overall is great. It's a good mix of like the beat selection is an interesting mix, because it's not like it's not like your average hip hop beats, it's not just like, a basic 808 or, a drum and a snap or something, it's a little bit more electronic and a little bit more out there, a little bit more, not alternative, but it's not something that you're used to hearing for hip hop artists, and then they just kind of complement each other well in their flows and like their transitions between each other's vocals, going in and out of each other, kind of completing each other's lines or completing the bar, it's just brilliantly done. And I think that anybody can listen to this and like literally get boosted up like 3 or 2 IQ points, not a bad listen at all. I can't imagine anybody really listening to this and being like, oh, this album sucks, unless like they're super young or something and kind of close-minded. I know like they originally released the album and like for free, and it got like 100 and some odd downloads, which don't even count towards Billboard, by the way. And then of course they released it on Spotify or whatever. So it's still technically free, but it's, obviously you get paid from Spotify, Apple Music, whatever, but there's no like physical copies to buy or whatever. You can just play it on Spotify, Apple Music, or you could get the free version or whatever, which is great. And, obviously Killer Mike has always been an activist for social issues, and I've always been a long time supporter of, the presidential election, I guess. He's probably one of the guys that's most influential as far as like talking to the youth or like the culture, if you will, about the importance of voting and what you can do to kind of change things in your city and your neighborhoods, etc. Pushing out Black ownership and things like that. He's a smart guy, definitely a smart guy. I'd probably give the album a B+ overall.
I'm gonna go in. I got him at a B- on this one, and I do like this album. The other guy of the duo, his name's LP. It's spelled EL-P LP.
There you go.
He went in. I love 2 Chainz. He went in. DJ Premier did his thing. Pharrell was on that song. Just
that track with Pharrell though.
That track with Pharrell though. Like how often do you find yourself saying that, bro? Every time somebody has a project and Pharrell's on it, it's always one of the starred ones, right? It's always one of the, So great album, good content overall. Like Brandon mentioned, some of the tracks aren't traditional sounding, which is okay. But I found myself on some of the tracks wishing that the beat was a little different, just so that I could really vibe to what the hell he was spitting, you know what I'm saying? Or they were spitting. So like, it was cool. There's some great tracks on there. Definitely that Pharrell track got my attention. Like I said, the 2 Chainz track, Out of Sight. That's a slap right there. And also less than 40 minutes, 39-minute project. It's right in my wheelhouse, man.
You
It's
hear
a
that,
good way.
DJ?
New top to bottom.
Yeah, I was really afraid that I was just gonna get preached to death by Killer Mike here.
Killer Mike.
Yeah, but as I listened, I felt the old head in me come out, and I was just like, "Yeah, he right. Tell these youngins what's really going on out here. Go out there." but again, my joint was Goonies versus E.T. That was my favorite off the whole album. I've definitely heard them before because there was another Madden. Talk about Madden. There was another Madden song where they were out. I forget which Madden it was. I think it was Madden 18 was the first time I've actually heard them together rapping. But yeah, it was a good, smooth transition through all the songs for me. There's really no hangups for me. It's not going to be endearing to me. So I'm not going to go back and listen to a bunch of songs. Like I'm going to pick and choose a couple of them and keep it pushing for the most part. So that it will get a solid B for me.
I could agree with that altogether. Like you said, 39 minutes. Definitely the vibe was a little bit, for me, it was a little bit all over the place. There was definitely some good transitions, some good ways that I jumped on those songs. As soon as I saw Pharrell, that was the first track I actually played, because I'll usually pull up a set list, look at all the songs that are on there, see what are starred, just so I can like not focus on those songs a little bit more, but try to focus on the things that aren't their quote unquote popular songs. But as soon as I saw Pharrell, I'm like, oh well, I basically love almost everything that Pharrell's done. I mean, he's obviously a pioneer of a lot of great producers out in his time, and he's just, the way that Pharrell's on a track, it captivated me. So I listened the whole track. I listened to that track first, and then took everything else. I feel like I like the song Just, that's the one that featured him, and then the song by 2 Chainz is also the one that I agreed with. The tracks flowed really well. It didn't really catch my attention as much as the other albums that we had on here. I definitely would give it probably like a B- for me, but it had a good flow to it for me, basically.
So that sounds like a B consensus, right?
Yep. It looks like we're all pretty consistent with these right here, man. Also, I just want to go in. The first Killer Mike joint I really remember, I believe it was Madden 2004 with Michael Vick on the cover. He had that song called Action. And it was him rapping cool on a track where the track didn't exactly sound like hip hop. It was kind of like upbeat type of stuff.
Oh, so I know what you're talking about.
That's not something that's new to like Killer Mike and his style of music, and also LP. So, it's pretty consistent. He will have projects that are better than others because, like Daniel says, sometimes it's preachy, and sometimes, sometimes he talking to you. You know what I'm saying? And when he talking to you, that's where you want to be.
If he talking to you, you best be listening, partner.
Yeah.
All right, Joey, you want to go with the next one?
Yeah, I'll go next. Are we on third now? Third albums?
Yep.
I'll do one. I'll go Mick Jenkins.
Finally,
Mick Jenkins.
Short and sweet.
Bro, I'm telling you, Mick Jenkins, the album's called The Circus. This is one of my sleeper guys. This is a guy I've been a fan of for years. This is a guy who, you guys might not know this, but some of my favorite artists, when asked in interviews, have been asked, who are some of your favorite artists? Just like, who do you listen to? This is a guy that's been mentioned for years, like just randomly. He's also from Chicago. He's like I don't want to say he's like a civil rights activist, but he's very active in his poetics. He's wise beyond his years. I believe he's not that young anymore. He's probably our age, late 20s, 30s. But this guy's got mad bars. He's got an individual sound, great flow. His beat selection is hard. The projects are never that long. And I got to give this one an A- because he got some bars in there that really made me think a little bit, really made me listen. Nothing impressive like talent wise, like, oh, he's so technically this or technically. He's raw, he's real, and everything he say, you just really believe and trust. And that's
for real. I was listening to it on my walk, and there was this one bar on the last song called Different Scales. where
Mhm.
and I had to go back and listen to that song 3 times just so I could hear that bar over and over again. Where he was talking about, so but the swine want to be goat. You really just sheep. You want to be woke. You really just sleepwalked in front of me, man. What are these jokes? As soon as I heard that, I was like, yo.
Yeah, he's hard. He's hard. The only feature on this one was Earth Gang,
Yep.
and normally they kill it. But if you guys get a chance, that song "Carefree," which was like the starred song on this album, there's a music video on that one, and it's pretty deep. And that's actually my favorite song on the album, so I would peep that one. But yeah, this one gets an A- for me. I absolutely love this project, even though it's only 20 minutes long, seven songs.
Yeah, this is a project that I can definitely see myself going back to listen to. Like you said, it's super short, and I think that's kind of like its biggest downfall. But at the same time, it might be a boost to it because it kind of just makes you want to hear it again, you know, because it's so short. You just throw it on, it's done in a couple minutes. You're like, oh, dang, like that was it. Like, oh, let me play that again. Let me hear that back one time. At the beginning definitely caught my attention a lot with Samo and Carefree. I liked The Light, which was like, you know, you said that it had the only feature featuring Earth Gang. The rest of the songs are all pretty good too. Like I said, I pretty much listened to this while I was at work, so I was a little distracted. But overall, he didn't say anything that displeased me at all. His bars were there. He would, like you said, he was talking about a lot of real stuff, a lot of real issues, and I feel like. So like Mick Jenkins, like he said, he's been around for a while, and I've heard of him, and I've just never like gone out of my way to listen to his projects. But I think because of this project, it's going to be like my gateway to want to listen to him more and make sure that I kind of get, you know, I'm gonna pay attention to him a lot more definitely after this, and as well as probably revisit some of his older projects too. I'd probably give the album overall a B+.
I'll jump into it. For me, so because of the type of music that I'm used to listening to whenever I come to like rock and heavy metal and like a bunch of old metal and rock albums were like days long. They were legitimately like maybe like an hour and a half, an hour 45
Yeah.
minutes long. So for me, seeing long ass albums is something that I'm used to. That's why I like in these albums that I gave you guys, a couple of them were over an hour long, and that's kind of what I'm used to. So when I listened to this album, it was like you guys said, it was short, sweet, to the point. I got what I wanted from it, but it kind of like, for me, I have to agree with that. If there's ever was a downfall, that had to be it. That 20-minute time is just, it was like, it felt like there was enough in it, but it wasn't as much as I wanted.
Yeah, blue balling you.
Yeah. So that's what I kind of feel about it. Like, I agree. Carefree was also my favorite song on this album. I definitely gave it 2 listens just because it was so short. So I do kind of agree with what Taylor's saying, that it makes you want to fucking come back and give it more listens just because it was so short. I definitely give it a B myself. It was a little bit different from the vibe that I was getting when I started listening to all these albums. Like I said, I listened back to back to back to back, so it definitely changed the pace a little bit. But it was decent for me. It was something definitely that will get me into seeing what else he has to offer.
So what did you grade it?
I said B.
I think we all got
B.
Yeah, I was
B, and you said A. Okay. All right. Well then, Daniel, you're next album.
I'll go the easy route on this next album. One that we've all heard before, all that we've all talked about before, with Eminem, with M's Music to Be Murdered By. Actually, this was like I'd say like the 4th time I've actually gone through and listened to the whole album. Some songs I like more that I hated in the past, and some songs that I liked I kind of hate now. I don't know if that's just because of the replay ability, because I've been playing it so much, or simply just because I'm in a different headspace now. But like, I hated that Stepdad song at first, but now I'm kind of liking it like a lot. Where he's talking about he's hating his stepdad. I feel like I got a little bit of the real M, not even M, but Marshall. I feel like I got Marshall in that song. Usually you get either Eminem or Slim Shady, and Marshall hardly ever shows up. So I really like that, and I really liked the Juice WRLD song a little bit more now. Not because he's gone. I'm not gonna be fake like that. Just because just hearing
he died before it came out.
I know, that's what I'm saying. I'm not gonna say, oh, I'm liking it because he died or whatever.
Okay.
I'm just saying I like it now because it grew on me. The chorus grew on me. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah.
All right. So hour and 4 minutes. We're gonna start there. This was a long ass album for me. And me and Daniel have had this discussion for years. I've never been the first person to jump on an Eminem wagon, just because I acknowledge that he is one of the most gifted lyricists, writers, but his music is always gonna struggle to get me. Like I'm always gonna have to try hard to get Eminem to like really like captivate my mind. But for the sake of what we was doing, I was like, let me just listen. Let me take in everything. There is something that's very consistent with Eminem that turns me off a little bit is at some point in almost every song, he has to throw a shot at everybody else, letting us know that he's still the greatest. I'm over it. No, we know you good. Like, we don't have to. And he's got like, the thing is, he always does it because he's got like a billion different ways to describe how he's better than us, but whatever. But a lot of bars in this one, metaphor is off the chain. His biggest downfall for me is still the sound of his tracks. I know he's I know he's white. I know he's from Detroit. and I know that he has a different taste of music. You know what I'm saying? Like, apart from just rap. So like a lot of the, I can almost never stand he's not good at writing choruses. That's why he has a lot of features and why a lot of people sing on him. A lot of his slower songs, I cannot stand. I'll listen to him rap, but when it comes down to his choruses and they're all slow and it's these people I don't know, not that people I don't know aren't good but they always lose me at the chorus. And I'm like, damn it, Eminem. I feel something tells me when I was listening to this, I was like, you know what? If Eminem was part of a duo group and he had somebody else to help him with the chorus and this and that the entire time, kind of like Andre 3000 leaned on Big Boy for a lot of those tracks and Andre got more of the fame. In the same light, I was like, you know what? This is my Andre 3000 without Big Boy. You know what I mean? So like, I kind of feel like that's how I really feel. I think Eminem would be a lot more appreciated if he had somebody else alongside him, because a lot of the choruses is where I get lost in these songs. I think it's because his voice. It's not his fault. I think his voice, you can get past when he's rapping, especially when he goes fast, because he enunciates everything. So you can hear him rap fast. You can listen to what he's saying, which is amazing. It's great. But when it comes down to singing, his voice just doesn't support him that well. Yeah. And a lot of the times the songs start to sound goofy. So I find myself ignoring the chorus and waiting for him to start spitting again. But when I do get into that vibe, Eminem's top tier. You know what I'm saying? But I'm gonna give this album a solid B, simply because Eminem got to slow the fuck down, man. I don't. He got so much to say, bro. He got so much to say, and it's nothing for him to just fit it all in a 4-minute song. Nothing. Yeah. Nobody put as many words and syllables in the song as Eminem, and that's forever gonna be his title. You know what I'm saying? But I'm gonna give this one a B, because I don't think this is the best album I've heard from Eminem, but it's still Eminem.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna give this one a solid B.
I would say personally, I'd give it a B minus. And I think, like, for me, like, the saving grace definitely is the features. I definitely appreciate a lot of the features on here. He had a lot of younger artists on here too, and newer artists. I also want to ask, does Skylar Grey have any of her own like projects? Right? Or is she like only on?
I've only ever heard her on Eminem songs, bro.
For real, bro.
Like, I don't know what's up with that.
You know what I'm saying? Like, who is that?
I'm starting to think they got a thing together. That's what I'm saying.
Like, get on the album, we'll work it out, But like you said, you can't really go wrong with Eminem. It's like, he's not my go-to when it comes to rapping, as far as like it sounding really nice, but he's a good rapper. He can string a bunch of words and lyrics together and make it make sense. Say something that, you may take it one way in your ears, but then really in reality, he means like 2 or 3 different things that you probably didn't even think of. So he's always going to be talented in that regard. I just think like he doesn't need to show us that anymore. He needs to like experiment or do something else almost, It's like, we know you can rappity rap. You've mastered it. You're great at it, but just show us something else, show us something different. And then I feel like if he does that ever, it's hard to teach an old dog new tricks, but if he ever does that, I think like he'd easily be like one of the favorite. You know, if I mean, he already is one of the favorites, but I mean, I think it would be like the haters would shut up after that. You know?
Yeah. For me personally, like just going on that tangent that you're talking about for Skylar Grey, just for shits and giggles, I wanted to search her up on Apple. Her top songs are all features. All of them
That's
are features. All of her top songs are features. She has her own albums. She has like 4 albums on here, but all of them are features. But going off of that, talking more about Eminem, this album, I will say that I was still reeling off of Kamikaze because Kamikaze came out obviously 2018. It was a long time ago. Doesn't feel like it in most cases. I mean, I go on deployment, so I go get in this 6-month deployment, and I come back, and now there's a whole buttload of music I missed. So I kind of get trapped in these albums that come out. When Kamikaze came out, I fell in love with the album. First of all, just because it was the way that the style was, how he rapped on that album. Specifically, I fell in love with it. When Music to Be Murdered came by, I kind of like Godzilla came out, and it was kind of like, okay, cool. That's gonna be his popular. I'm rapping as fast as I possibly can.
It was like
song.
the new rap god.
Yeah, it was the new rap god basically. And then when I started hearing all the other songs, it kind of like. I'm gonna agree with Joey. It's Eminem. You know what you're getting from Eminem. You hear that consistency in the way he raps and the way that he brings it. He brings it on every single album that he has, and he definitely has those songs that are gonna be like, whoa, because it's like we said, it's Eminem. But unfortunately, like you said, it's not. It's definitely wasn't the best album for me. I love Eminem. I love his music, but this definitely wasn't one of his top albums. And I think that he kind of, just like you guys said, can't teach an old dog new tricks. I'm just used to it at this point. And for me, I kind of got to say that it's one of the downfalls for listening to this album as a whole. I definitely think it is still a B. It is still a good album. It's something that obviously you'll add to your repertoire, but it's just for
Listen
me.
to this shit. I don't know if you can hear it, but
wow, demonetized.
Right.
Why does it sound crazy?
Copyright.
No, it's fine. It's fine.
Listen to this man.
They're not gonna care because we don't have anything major yet, so it's fine.
Like who talks that fast, bro? like nobody, like not even Spanish novellas like talk that fast, and they be yelling at each other and screaming. Like, like you know when like as a producer when you're making beats and you just start adding the
Yeah,
like that's what Eminem does in his mind with words. You know what I'm saying? Like, oh, I got enough syllables to fill up. You know, like let's triple it.
yeah.
Jesus. And then you forget what the song sounds like because you're so damn focused on his words. And that's exactly why I'm gonna tell you right now, I absolutely did not like Eminem whatsoever, because his only songs that were famous or that I knew were the goofy mess around Slim Shady songs.
Yeah.
I started to really appreciate Eminem when on Apple Music, when I was able to follow along with the lyrics and listen to him rap. I appreciated it that much more, to be honest. The true lyricism comes out, and when you have access to see it and read it out as he's performing it, and you can see how he cuts off words and starts words too soon and all the techniques to it, then you're just like, oh yeah, rap god. You know?
Yeah.
So, but as for just a smooth listen through, Eminem's never gonna get nothing higher than a B from me, just because he loses me in some spaces. Like, slow down, bruh. Slow down.
I feel it definitely. For the last two, I want Joey to go last, just because he's got some albums on there that I really want to talk about. So for round 4, I'm gonna go with West Side Gun's "Pray for Paris." I thought that was a phenomenal album. I was introduced to Griselda, like the artist from Griselda, about like 2 years ago. One of my homegirls, she like threw one of the songs on like her story for Instagram, and I listened to it, and it was a song by West Side Gun. I believe it was the song Elizabeth, and they kind of have dropped out project after project and have not disappointed once. Pray for Paris, as soon as it came out, I was super interested in it. I found out Tyler, the Creator, was on the project, and I was even more so interested in it. One of my favorite songs on the project is George Bondo. I I don't really know what to say other than it's like that hard hitting, gritty hip hop. It just kind of smacks you in your face, you know. They kind of talk with a certain swagger, you know, because they're from the East Coast. I think they're from like upstate New York or something like that. And it's just like, bro, like they can't miss at this point. They just can't miss. He got a ton of features. He's got Wale. He's got Benny the Butcher, of course. Conway the Machine. He's got Freddie Gibbs, Tyler the Creator. I think he's got Joey Badass on the track. On 327, he's got the track 327 with Joey Badass and Tyler on it. Tyler says like. So, like, you know how he says, like, some sus shit? He says some more sus shit, and it's like, when you think about the people that are West Side Gun and Griselda versus, like, Tyler, the Creator, it is so awesome that he allowed him to be on the project with the things that he said. It shows so much, like, progression in hip-hop and just acceptance, and it's like, we still don't know if Tyler's trolling or not. I still, to this day, don't know. But he was just like, go ahead and rock, because it sounds great. He did a great job, you know, on the track that he was on, and it's just like he let it rock, you know, and it's like that's dope, that's super dope.
Hard
I mean,
stuff,
he might also just understand that Tyler Creator is probably a very influential artist and probably has a dope fan base who would probably fuck with him if you know he allowed him to rap. But either way, it's just super dope that he allowed him to be on the project, and I love the album just because of the. It's an album I can also listen to it over and over again, and I'm going to be honest, I'm going to give it an A-.
I'm kind of with you on that one. I'm gonna give this one an A- too. It actually surprised me a little bit because I knew West Side Gun a little bit. You know what I'm saying? And you did mention that he dropped a new album today. We won't get too much into that. But if you haven't listened to West Side Gun, it would kind of surprise me because there's a few other artists that kind of like come off the top of my head when I listen to this. Like you said, it's a lot of gritty, a lot of bars, a lot of hard, you know, it's Flatbush Zombies, Denzel Curry, Joey Badass. If you like guys like that, this album's going to really slap for you. And I think this one really did it for me. I like the bebop type of hard slap 808s, and I like it, man. This to me is the rawest form of hip hop, and even though I'm not the biggest fan of like overstacking like features on an album, but damn it, man. like every single one on here was hard.
Slapped.
Like he had so many hard songs on this album, and I found myself listening to it a few times ever since you I believe you actually mentioned it not that long ago, a few weeks ago.
Yeah.
But yeah, that George Bondo, that was hard. The 327 with Tyler was hard. I'm a Freddie Gibbs fan, which actually his album was in my top 5 but dropped out for the Mick Jenkins, the $500 ounces, all type of songs on here, man. I would give this one a real listen for all you hip hop heads, because this is for the one right here.
Yeah, I had a lot of fun. This is, as soon as I heard this, I was like, I need my pen and pad right now. It really inspired me to pick up a pen and pad and just start writing again, even though I'm not gonna ever put it out, but I was start, you know how it is. But I really enjoyed the grittiness of it. Like, I was just thinking, why are they called West Side Gun, but they sound so East Coast to me? It was a little awkward for me, but it really took me back to those. I don't know if anybody ever listened to Joey Crack back in this time, but if you listen to the old school Joey Crack, and that's what it kind of reminded me of, just because it was real gritty. It was real basketball court in the middle of the night with the in the middle of Brooklyn somewhere, you know, with the wire fencing and everything all up in there.
Cross them up in some Timberlands type of music right there. Yeah.
Cross him up in Timberlands, then stomp on his face with the Timberlands.
Oh, geez.
make him bite the curb type of stuff. That's what the feeling it gave me. But but
that Radio Raheem.
The bad style. Yeah, it was definitely hard. I definitely give that one. Definitely give this one an A. I enjoyed this one just as much as I enjoyed the Eminem one.
Wow,
right.
that's wow.
That's real high.
Sure. Wow. Okay, damn, we making strides in this episode right here.
Yeah, I'll finish off by talking a little bit about it. So for me personally, I listened to it, and this is one of those albums that I can just like I loved that they just dropped an instrumental version. Just hearing the
Oh,
beats,
yeah.
the way that it
Oh,
sounds, every single track on this album just made me feel like, man, I can really vibe to this whole album. And then you add on to all of his bars, his lyrics on it, and I agree with this is one of the better albums of the year. This is one of the albums that I listened to and I was like, man, I gotta save this whole album on my Apple, just because it's one of those ones where you talking about No Vacancy. As soon as I heard No Vacancy, it was like, man, I really need to fuck with this. I really need to hear this whole thing multiple times. And like you guys have already talked about all the features that are along with it. Tyler, obviously Wale, and it was just like, I listened to this album and I was like, man, I need to hear it. And then we heard this new album that's dropped. Obviously, we're not going to talk about it right now, but this new album dropped, and I'm excited to give that one a listen as well. I definitely would give this an A myself. Then A myself as well.
Word. A's across the board.
Wow, this actually got the highest grading thus far. I'm actually shocked right now. This is crazy. What else we got? What else we got?
DJ, you want to go next?
Yeah, sure. I'll drop this one in here because this one was, it's kind of cheating adding this one in here because we basically heard the whole album in 2019 up until 2020. I have to talk about Joyner Lucas's ADHD. This is the album that I was waiting so damn long for. We heard the progressions. We basically heard all the songs come out. He dropped single after single after single. And I love this album. I definitely enjoyed it when it came out and finally was able to enjoy the whole thing back to back. The one downfall I do have to say about this album is that the fact that it got released at basically like a weekly schedule. It's kind of like getting leaks to the songs when we already knew what they were. That was the biggest downfall for me. However, I do enjoy all the features that were in it. Obviously, it's blowing up now. You hear a bunch of music being played on the radio from this album in personal. On top of it, this is probably one of my favorite albums of the year. It'll definitely be one of my best when it comes to at the end of 2020. This might be still on my top 5. But like I said, the biggest downfall for me had to be that basically weekly to monthly release of every single song that came out. I'd give this one an A for me. This is one of my tops. And obviously we know what we're getting for Joyner. We know what you're going to listen to, and I enjoyed the album.
For me, I thought it was overall like just the leaks of songs that came out when they did come out. I thought they were pretty decent. I kind of put Joyner and Logic in the same class, which is kind of ironic considering that he has a song on here where basically everybody found out, oh, they're at peace now and they're not beefing anymore. And they have a song together, that song ISIS. I put them in the same class to where like there's like a frame of mind that they get in where they're just like monsters on the beat and on the track, you know, like ripping everything up. But then they get into this other mindset where it's just like really tame and just kind of like it's almost like you're not the person that you normally are, you know, like Joyner has given us some really, really thought-provoking pieces. He's great at the dual perspective. He's brilliant at that kind of stuff. It's kind of been his bread and butter. He really definitely changed that kind of formulaic process that he was going through. I know he had mentioned this was kind of a social experiment. I don't think he's revealed in what way it was a social experiment, and maybe in the future we'll find out what it is. But for now, there was only a handful of tracks that I really gravitated towards, but I wish that he would have done some more things that made me think like, oh man, this is brilliant. But two of the tracks that I want to just highlight really quick. One of them was oh crap, I don't even have it right here. Hold on one second. One of them was the song Will. That's actually one of the songs I really liked. I liked his little tribute to Will Smith. I liked his song. Is it ADHD? That's the one that starts off slow and then it starts off at the more that I hold on. I'm gonna try to play real quick. Am I tripping?
That's just my ADHD.
I'm tripping. Oh, it's Revenge. Revenge is the song I like. Okay. I like the song Revenge. The beginning more so particularly. It kind of has like this build up, and then he has a music video that goes with it too. It's super dope. And then like the end of the song, I believe if I'm not mistaken, he's like supposed to be dead. It's almost like Kill Bill type thing where he kind of goes and kills all the people that like betrayed him or whatever. And I also like the song. I think it's the first. Oh, the the first main song, I Lied, the intro, I thought that was pretty dope too. Cause like sometimes like I think like, dang, like if I ever got really rich, like, you know, I don't want the money to change me or whatever. And, but he's like, he went up in front. He's like, I let the money change me. I lied. I let the money change me. You know, like he just went out there with it, and I fucked with it though. I'd probably give it like a B- though overall. It was cool. I was kind of expecting a little bit more, but it was cool overall.
I'm gonna go next. I'm gonna give this one a B plus. One of the things that was a little disappointing, what like DJ said, was I feel like I was listening to the album for the whole year before the album came out. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Also, in regards to that comment that you said, you put Logic and him in kind of like the same tier, whatever tier that is, or different or type of rapper, guys that kind of tend on like kind of lean on like the faster pace stuff, which I also kind of throw Eminem in there. But I think, and this is just my personal, I think Joyner Lucas kind of little brothered Logic, to be honest. I see Joyner Lucas on a higher tier for me because his aggression, like you said, when they go into that beast mode, of spitting bars, Joyner Lucas to me he's up there, man. He's one of those guys who over time he's gonna start growing on people and develop more and more as a lyricist. And if you don't like him for a certain reason, you probably gonna end up hating him later, because I can only see his career going up, to be honest. I think he's
Absolutely.
a great rapper. I think his content don't slip, and I like his natural voice and his delivery. He's also a guy that enunciates very well, so even when he speeds up, you know what the hell he's saying. You know what I'm saying?
And he's a good actor.
And he's a good actor. Also, the album cover was kind of creative. You know what I'm saying? He's got like his hands over his face, but like his face is coming through his hand. It's kind of weird, but I'm gonna give this one a B plus because I give mad respect to Joyner Lucas
For sure.
But I definitely think he's a guy where you kind of gotta you gotta keep paying attention to him, because I think he's gonna start taking off a little bit. I think he's definitely gonna start elevating his game because he knows he's talented. He started off with like those YouTube videos, right? Like making like the kind of like awareness videos, like make you think a little bit, and then doing stuff in reverse. So he came out almost like, oh, who's this guy making these kind of videos? And usually a lot of times people who make videos like that, their music doesn't exactly translate. But Joyner was one of those guys where the music actually translated. You know what I'm saying? It's not like Hobson. Hobson made all those videos, but then when it came down to listening to his album, people are like, what the hell is this? And that's how a lot of people, it's not this way with Joyner Lucas. You know what I'm saying? So his content and his mind constantly trying to, and he's one of those, I don't like using the word woke, but he's a very aware person, and he's constantly talking about mindset and things. So he's a smart guy, and I respect that. And his flow is top tier for me. So B plus on this one, only because he don't got enough stuff that make me really thump in there. You know, get my neck moving and my back moving. If you had a little bit more of that, I'm in there with an A. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I guess I'm on the opposite side of the spectrum then. What do you call Joyner Lucas without his fast rap?
Eminem without his fast rap.
I would call him Dave East.
Whoa. Oh man, hey, I don't know, man. Like I get what Daniel's saying with that, but Dave East is actually one of my disappointing rappers. People are always upset when they hear me say, I don't like Dave East, bro. He's boring. So if that's what you're saying, I'm gonna have to take a second look and check out that comparison right there.
That's what I feel it in a certain way, to where if you take away that, he's just another Dave East to me. What I didn't like the album just because, like we of all alliterated to, is that I had half of it already, and so I was really excited to see what the other half was going to sound like. And then the other half that we did get, I was like, okay, I'm not really that impressed with it. Like, all your best stuff is out already off this album, and
I think it was like 5 songs total, isn't it? That we didn't have already.
Yeah, it was only like 5 or 6, maybe
Something
at the
like
most.
Yeah,
and so it was like, these aren't really impressing me enough, and I'm already tired of all your other old songs already. So it really left a bad taste in my ears, just because it was already watered down at that point by the time it released. It took so long to put the music out. To this day, I haven't seen him do anything better than then I'm not racist. No matter what song it is. The Devil one was Devil's Work was pretty good. Just because even me being a Christian, I've had so many questions like that, to God, and it was just kind of just like, yeah, that's kind of my angry side at God. I really feel that one, but you got to see for me, just because I had half of it already, and by the time he released the other 5, they weren't enough to outbalance how bored I was with the other songs already. Unfortunately, Davies 2.0.
Oh, jeez. I don't know about that one, man. I even Joyner Lucas without his fast stuff to me is better than Dave East, and that's just me being raw about it. Dave East to me is like the East Coast broke man's Nipsey Hussle. Because he don't sing, he don't have good choruses. Go listen to a Dave East album and find me a chorus that you like that's not just the same 4 words repetitive. It's boring, fam. I'm sorry. It is boring. And everybody knows why East Coast rappers, they have that traditional boom pap. You know what I'm saying? It's old school punchy. His shit's boring, fam. I cannot get with it. I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's personal. I don't know if it's because he's Kevin Durant's friend and he sold out and went to the Warriors. Like, I don't know what it is. But Davies to me is one of those best of the worst rappers. He's right there with Kevin Gates, best of the worst. You know what I mean? There's a few guys for me. I don't know. But Davies, jeez.
All right, so it looks like about a B- for that album. Daniel, you next? Which one you want to bring to the board?
Is this my 4th one? Oh yeah, I'm gonna bring the Bizzle one up this time. So a little backstory on Bizzle real quick, just because when I first heard of Bizzle, I didn't care for him. Just because I was barely getting to Lecrae and all those guys, and then all of a sudden they were just like, check out that Bizzle guy too, and I was like, man, I'm over here with Lecrae. I don't care about no Bizzle. But the more I heard of him, and because back then when they first said Bizzle, I wasn't really into rap the way I am now. And so listening to him now, I can hear the growth that he had, and the bars were absolutely amazing. He got real famous because he actually came after Kanye West and Jay-Z. He was like accusing them of Illuminati. You know how I am with the Illuminati, so that really perked my ear. And I was like, yo, this guy, listen. Go ahead.
Well, what were you going to give it as a grade?
Oh, I was going to say it at the end, but as a grade, I'd give this one an A- for me, just because, like I said, he has the lyrical miracle stuff in there. He has the truth in there. He has the real life in there, and he has this song in there where he's talking about treating women right, bro.
Yes.
And I was sitting there listening to it. I was just like, when's the last time I heard a song somebody was rapping like this, talking about treat a woman right? I loved it.
Bro. All right, go ahead, Brandon. If you're gonna go,
I gotta. Mine's be real quick. I was shocked, obviously, when I heard this. I coming off of Gavi. I listened to Bizzle pretty much right after, and it was like a complete 180. Obviously, another Christian rapper, but at the same time, he was rapping hard. It was thumping. It was hard as heck. I was like, okay, like I never had a Christian rapper that I was scared of before, but okay, like I feel it. You striking some fear. I messed with it. He made me feel like he was like he goes to church, but like he'll fuck you up too. Like 100. It was crazy. There was a line I told you guys earlier where he talks about children are allowed to choose their genders, but they can't pick their bedtime and stuff. And it was just like, wow, he has like great little like gems like that are just like he's kind of on point with some of the stuff he's saying for sure, And overall, I just thought like it's definitely a different type of Christian rap that I could just be like, you can play this around people, and they're not going to be like, oh, he's just a Christian rapper. They're going to be like, this is hard. Okay, run that back real quick. It was fire. I'd probably give it an A too. It was good. It was real good.
Repping God in heaven, you could never Kanye me, and you ain't got the answers, so you could never sway me. This dude was hard, yo. Bizzle went hard. I'm not gonna front. I listened to this twice in a row, and it was a 43-minute long. So I complain about long. I listened to this for an hour and a half, back to back. I'm gonna give it an A-, and the only reason I'm not gonna give it an A+ is because, and I know this is probably bad. I was missing a few like real passionate bars, and normally you have to cuss, but I applaud him for that one. This, like Brandon said, I've never been intimidated by somebody in and out the Bible. You know what I'm saying? Like he's like the song titles, bro. He's got this song called the bar I read that was from Lucky You. He's pretty much talking. He's pretty much saying, "Oh yeah, lucky for you, I'm living this righteous life because if I was about it, you need to get your act right." You know what I'm saying?
I could have been a villain, but instead I'm chilling or something like that, right?
Pretty much. He's got that song called "Poppin'." He's like, "Yeah, I'm a man of God, but if you get wild, we can get it poppin'." Like, damn, bro, like this man's about to bang on us. You know what I'm saying? Like, he's really
Christ gang. What?
That's what I was about to talk about.
The main part I got from it, and I think I mentioned it in our group chat, was that he brings such a real life perspective from the church looking out, and that's something that only the best of the best can really do, is give you something that people before even listening to it would be like, bro, I ain't trying to listen to no gospel rap. You could play it, not tell them it's gospel rap, and they'll be like, yo, who this? That's the power of the spirit in that one. And Bizzle didn't disappoint. It was all great stuff. He had that song called Rick Ross, pretty much saying like, yeah, I could have been doing this. Yeah, I could have been doing that. I could have been Rick Ross right now. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, he's letting us know I made a choice. It's God Over Money. That's the name of the record company, God Over Money Records. I thought it was brilliant. It was great. He got that song called
a lot of times.
Yeah, he got that song called Good Guys. He's like, oh, I guess, he lost again to the good guys. Like, he's always like, he talks shit, but like in the name of God. You know what I'm saying? So I'm gonna give this one an A-. This one got me hot. I'm gonna circle around this one a few times.
Yeah, going in on this one, it kind of put me in a spot, because I know that we were talking about Christian rappers not that long ago, because we were talking at the end of 2019. We kind of talked a little bit about NF. NF was definitely on my list for Christian rappers, the ones that basically went hard, the ones that made me feel like, oh man, this is like. And when I mean going hard, I meant like he kind of had that same type of rap style. I know a lot of people try to compare him to Eminem and the way that he raps, but it's just when I heard NF, I was like, all right, cool. This is something that I can really vibe with. I heard about Lecrae from Daniel again, and it was like I listened. Look, one of Lecrae's songs was like one of my top songs of the first quarter. It was just one of those things where I was like, man, I could really vibe to this. And then we came in with this with Bizzle, and it's the same sort of things. I can only echo what you guys are talking about, and it's a pleasant surprise to me. It's something that I was not 100% expecting. And it was one of those, this whole album for me felt really good. It felt like I can listen to every single thing. And then, like, I have kids. It's nothing I'm never worried about it. Like, I'm hearing my kids listen to something that can cuss, but it was just something that I was like, man, I could just listen to this in the car and just not have to worry, because you still have a message. You still have something in there. And so I definitely, it wasn't with the vibe that I was getting off of the last album that Daniel's going to go to. Was probably my biggest surprise for me out of the albums that I listened to. So it definitely didn't match up with that sort of vibe, but I definitely would give this one probably an A- to a B+ for me.
All right, I'm gonna just put an A across the board. Then he got an A.
I'm actually real happy that was one of them albums. That was one of the one album I was real nervous about. I was just like, they're either gonna love it or they're gonna hate it.
I think you got to be in that mindset too.
For sure. It was dope. Definitely was dope. DJ, you want to start off the last round real quick?
Sure. I'll start off the last round with an album that actually came out on my wife's birthday. I was not expecting this. I know a lot of people were waiting for Childish to drop his last album, and I know on the 15th he kind of dropped it for that day and that day only. Like, it was on, I don't even know how long it was played. You had to go to a site, and you could listen to that album for probably like 5 hours. And that's it.
It was less than that. It was like literally like 2.5 hours, and it disappeared.
Yeah, it was like, because I remember you guys were talking about it, and I was at work. Like, I had gotten in my car, and I was like, oh crap, this album's out for real. And I went to go check it out, and I caught like maybe the first 3 tracks, and that's it. And for me, I'm a huge Childish Gambino fan. I've not like oh, I've been listening to him since fucking back in the day, but I've just been a huge fan in him as a person, not just as a rapper, but as a person. He's so multi-talented in what he does and everything that he's worked on. So I just kind of flew into that vibe, and listening to this album, I definitely like how it starts. It definitely has that funky electronic feel to it that it just, I love this album through and through. And I mean, obviously there's tracks on there that everyone was fucking with. Obviously we hear like the Feels Like Summer, we all Algorithm. Those are some of the songs that hit my top songs of the year. And I definitely feel like this will probably, again, will probably be on my top 10 list for the end of the year. This is my favorite album out of the whole bunch. And I definitely have to give this one an A.
Yeah, definitely Childish Gambino. I listen to just like Thundercat. You got to listen to it through, man, because the whole thing's a vibe. You know what I'm saying? Childish Gambino, again, he's on a hot streak right now, man. He's just not missing musically, artistically, whatever movies he's doing, shows, stand up, anything. He's just kind of like a creative genius right now, and bringing back this old school vibe into the new era is something I've been dying for since I was a kid. So like this ain't gonna be no surprise, but I'm gonna give this one an A-. And the only reason I didn't pick it was because I knew DJ was. Also, this ranks in my top 5, and I might actually make this my number 2. This is my second favorite album titled after a date. My first one is Usher's 8701.
Oh wow. This is actually an album that I expected Daniel, of all people, to have on his list, to be honest. And I actually totally forgot about it until I saw it, be added to the list by DJ. From an artistic perspective, I always believe that Childish Gambino is brilliant. He's super talented. He can, sing. He can rap, he can dance, he can do it all, and outside of that, even in like the music industry, he can also act and do stand-up comedy too. He's a freaking multi-talented. I don't know much people like him, besides like Jamie Foxx and a handful of other guys, But I think my only thing about Childish Gambino that and this is probably the only reason why I'm going to give him a B+ is because I miss him rapping.
Man, you can't be taking my lines, man.
Hey, I feel that too.
I appreciate I appreciate him switching over to going into more, singing and things like that, and kind of more smooth or R&B like sounds. But there's just something about the roots of hip hop when they're kind of abandoned that it just kind of hurts. It's like, bro, like you wanted to do this for so long, and then you got to do it in a popular fashion, and you were just like, all right, I'm over it, And it's like, bro, like that was your bread and butter. Like you can spit, like you can make interesting. You can say interesting things and bring social awareness and have this creative breakthroughs by utilizing rap too. And it's like, it sucks because it's like, it sucks to hold it against it because there's not really any rap at all on there, but it's like, I'm over the singing at this point, it's like, it's cool. It's nice. Like I'll listen to it, once or twice, but it's like, you're losing me. Like you're losing my attention now. You either need to, if he does retire from music, cool. He's done with it. I got all your old stuff, cool. But if he keeps going forward with music, then it's like, bro, like I need you to give me something. Give me something to kind of vibe to kind of like get going a little bit. Give me that Freaks and Geeks. Give me that that bonfire. Give me that
sick boy stuff. Oh, stop it. Hey, he did make a harsher transition than like Mac Miller, because both of them were kind of like rappers that had some soul, and then Mac Miller found his soul and incorporated it. Childish Gambino found his soul and moved over. You know what I'm saying? So like I get what I definitely get what you're saying. I feel like in that regard, it is a little disappointing to see him go so far away from rap, because his creativeness and his wittiness and wordplay is something to not be slept on. And you just don't get that from this style of music with him. Yeah, I feel that though too.
Yeah, that's the same reason why I didn't make my list, is because I miss him rapping. It's kind of my silent protest against this new Childish Gambino. No rapping, no peace. Type of thing for me. But yeah, because it took a while. Because I remember Brandon was telling me about Childish Gambino when he first came out, and our other friend, I forget what his name is. His rap name is Sirkari. Go check him out. But they were both telling me about Childish Gambino when he first came out, and I loved how witty he was with the raps. I still say that line every time. Every time somebody asks me, "Are you going to come to the party? Are you going to come to the spot?" And I say, "Are there Asian girls there?" Minority Report, because that was just like my favorite line he would ever say.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
So some of my early raps that I ever wrote down were between Eminem and Childish Gambino. Like those were the two first influences for me to actually rap my own style and all that. So I actually missed that. So that's why it missed me, because the same reason, like you're saying, he's losing me. I forgot he had this album out, and then when I saw it on DJ's list, I was just like, I really don't even need to listen to it. Because it's just go listen to Awaken My Love, and there you go.
In fairness, back when he was rapping, my favorite songs by him were actually not rap songs. So I think when he made this transition over here, it was almost like I was waiting for it to happen.
Yeah.
If that makes sense. You know, I was used to all these haters, see you later. That's what I was jamming to back then. So like
he should have been just like Drake is what is the thing though. He was definitely making the transition and had a ton of material to do it with, but he should have just been like sort of like Drake. Like you can rap and you can sing too.
You know what else I think about too is sometimes when people make transitions in their choice of like art, he was a TV show producer, stand-up comic. Obviously, he got into rapping, but as you can see, a lot of parts of his life are very fast-paced and very hectic and very loud. So I think maybe music became his piece, and that's when he went over into like more of the soul, let me sing stuff, because life is so crazy. Maybe he just felt like slowing it down when he's doing music. You know,
I blame his child and his wife. No, I'm sorry.
Sheesh.
That's when it took the turn.
Hey, that's when you got that "This Is America" stuff, man. He's still gonna drop that heat when he need to.
Mm-hmm.
For sure.
And I'm still very angry at him for not dropping that Saturday song from his movie Guava Island, because that's the song I was waiting for. I was like, that better be on the new album coming out. He put every song out from that movie except for Saturday, and I was so angry about that. But anyway.
What would you grade it, Daniel?
I gave it a B-.
Okay. All right. So then next, let's go back to you, Daniel.
So my last one is going to be Russ Shake the Snow Globe. I really
Shake it like a sauce chicken.
I really like Russ. This is one of those dudes that when I'm done listening to a Russ album or a Russ song, I feel like I know Russ like a little bit more each and every time. He doesn't come off as, the fake guy. He comes close to it in a couple of different songs. You're talking about, stuff was happening in the pool, and stuff was happening in the booth. And I was just like, okay, you're getting a little Rick Rossy on me, but it's funny because Rick Ross was in that song, but
he's got a few tracks with him now.
Yeah, they make great music. I'm not gonna lie. Like the
extravagant rap,
and just the laid back attitude that Russ has in all of his music, it comes out a lot more when Rick Ross is on the track with him. But I do like I love having it being in the middle of his album. There's a song called Nighttime. I play that during the nighttime, and it is tremendous. I can also play that during the daytime too. It's one of his where he's not even rapping pretty much. He's just singing the whole time. But it's like a melodic singing. He's not doing high notes like how Gambino be doing these high notes, trying to be Prince and all that. He's just being himself.
Hey, yeah, I like this album, man. I like Russ. I actually, when we had the idea and you sent out the text, Brandon, for us, I was like, did we mention this yet? You know what I mean? And Daniel was all over it, so I was like, all right, cool.
I'm sorry to cut you off. I remember that you were actually right. What he did was he did an extended cut of his album, so that's why when you saw it and it popped up, it was like 5 or 6 extra songs on top of the one we already heard.
Yeah, and I thought so. I was like, I wasn't sure if it came out, but I love this album, man. Russ to me is like if you guys know who this is, Russ to me is like the Ryan Leslie of rap music. Ooh. He's so original. He's so personal. He stays within his comfort zone. He knows where his voice range is. He could sing well. He hits those notes. He raps well. He's very relatable. And even when he talks about things that are personal in his life, he knows how to make them sound relatable. You know what I'm saying? Everything's personal. He's he's just so raw and himself, and you can't help but just respect it. And anybody who's really got a personal problem with him, why? You know what I'm saying? I've heard of him being, trashed on the internet and blah blah. This guy sells out stadiums by himself. Yep. And there's a reason why Rick Ross is cool with him. Rick Ross lives in Atlanta, which is where Russ is from, I believe. So that's like their connection. But over time, if you realize, Rick Ross ain't messing with no phonies. A lot of people look up to Rick Ross. And if Rick Ross messes with you, you're probably in some good financial health. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
But Russ to me is an overall great person. He puts on for his mom. He takes her on vacation.
He's definitely a family man,
saying?
For sure.
He's a hard worker.
His mama Bentley.
Always see him in the studio, in his living room. Like, this guy is on his grind. He's got a mission. He's on it. And his ability to rhyme well and not have to go too fast, not have to have super strong metaphors. He does have good bars, don't get me wrong, but he knows how to make good music. And it's something that a lot of rappers / singers are missing. Like, you can sing good and not make good music. Because like, you could sing other people's stuff, you could rap good, but not make good music because you just don't know how to bring the content together. Russ just figured it out. You know what I'm saying? He's got it all figured out. And I think for a guy that does everything from the writing to the production to the beat making and everything top to bottom, I mean, like I said, he's the Ryan Leslie of rap music. He's right up there with J. Cole for me in regards to all around artistry. So I got to give him a B+ on this one, only because there's a little element of a spark missing. Just a little. If he had something else that hit just a little more hard, a little raw.
I might touch on that.
I would go A, but I'm gonna go a strong B+ on this one. That's my final answer on this one. Strong B+.
I'm probably going to agree with that same grade and give him a B+ as well. And keep in mind, this album probably definitely turned me into a Russ fan overall. I'm definitely impressed with his bars, his lyrics, the beats his beat selection, the features that he chooses. None of it is wasted or a poor addition, or doesn't need a service to him whatsoever. I'm also impressed with the fact that he does do the majority of like everything that he does on the songs, as far as writing and producing his own music and and making it all. My only thing with Russ, and I think it has to do with the fact that he is so dynamic in that aspect of being able to go into different fields. He can sing a little bit, he can rap, he can, and he does the production and all that stuff too. So he's everywhere or whatever, right? And he's so involved with like the numbers and the business of it all because he's an independent artist, and so he's kind of all over this like spectrum when it comes to music. But I think because of that, it kind of like holds him back from being truly, truly great at just one field. So if kind of like how you were saying, Joy, if he was just like a little bit better at rapping, or like and maybe it's his voice, honestly, for me, if he had like a little bit better of a voice, then it would just kind of set him over the edge into what I believe would just be ultimate greatness. Like, he would be in the conversations with like the big three and stuff like that, in my opinion. He's on the cusp. I mean, if he's not in the conversation with the big three, he's probably up there with the A tier acts, such as like Travis Scott or whoever else. That's the only one I can think about off the top of my head. But
whoever I mean, but how many guys can sell out stadiums in places other than the United States?
Exactly. There's not a lot of people at all. Yeah.
He's just, what he did though? Like I said, some other guy's downfall is Russ makes one hell of a good hook and some choruses.
Yeah.
He's so good at that, man. Just like there's a lot of these old head rappers, they got more bars than Russ. They got better metaphors. But their songs aren't better because they're not catchy.
Yep.
But he's also not annoying. Russ isn't annoying. But like you said, if he adds a little bit more aggression to his tone, sometimes when he picks up those bars and he says hard stuff, the bars don't hit as hard as they should, or as hard as they look when you read them, simply because of his delivery. Sometimes I need a little more kick from him, just his energy, I guess I would say. But other than that, he's a top tier guy to me. I don't see other people selling out stadiums in like Australia and shit like that. You know what I'm saying? So,
sure.
So solid B plus for me.
I'll go ahead and give my quick rundown of this. I will say that out of all the projects on this list, Russ, I for one have not heard anything from Russ prior to this album. This was my favorite album out of every single album on these playlists.
Wow.
I liked a lot of them, but this album,
Damn.
I don't know if it was the timing. I don't know if it was just what was going on or what. This album just fucking it hit me. It got to a point where, like I said, me and my wife were playing like board games while we were doing this stuff, and me and her were both vibing to this whole album. We were listening, like I just said, because she was trying to listen to her stuff. I'm like, no, I gotta listen to these songs. I gotta listen to these tracks. So I put it on play. I set it on the table, and we were just listening, and we were both vibing to it the whole time. And it just felt like this album hit in a way that I liked it. I loved the whole album. The way that he went, you could just see the production value. And like you guys said, there's those things that for you make feel like he could be in that conversation with all those A artists. This album was an A+ for me. It definitely was for me. And I don't know what it was, but this album really hit.
It's a good ass album, man. I don't know. Like you find yourself singing it like when it's over, like every other song.
Guess what? I just went.
Yeah,
for sure, bro. For sure, it was definitely good. What about you, Daniel? I don't think you gave it a grade, did you?
I give it an A- for me.
Okay, for sure. It's a pretty solid project overall. Definitely. I guess I'll go before Joey goes last. He's got two more still. We totally skipped him, but yeah,
I have two. Okay, I'll get one
yeah.
quick.
Yeah, go ahead.
I'll get off the Kalani album. Kalani. It was good until it wasn't, bro. This was a highly anticipated album. This album was like when LeBron was coming into the league. You know what I'm saying? It's like there's all this anticipation, all this backstory. You know what I'm saying? Oh, her and YG had just stopped kind of like messing around or whatever they were doing. People wanted bars. People wanted the heartbreak. People wanted the shit talk, but they got all of it. Of it. This girl did not disappoint on this album. I'm not gonna lie. I was listening to it with a little bit of skepticism because in recent years, female R&B artists have been getting kind of, I want to say, overrated, if I'm being nice about it, because there's not as much talent in the female vocal department right now as there has been,
because they all trying to rap
historically. So I kind of listen, and following up last year after SZA and Ari Lennox, and you know what I'm saying? Like last year was a strong year for female, and they needed this album, and she did not disappoint. All the females are still bumping it hard. Guys like the album, the features.
I'm still bumping it.
Guys are bro. This is just an all around good album. She's sexy. You know what I'm saying? Like even if she's not good to listen to, she good to look at. You know what I'm saying? Like,
voice though.
I don't know how else to put it. YG messed up. You know what I'm saying?
I'm gonna just say it right now. I'm gonna give it an A. Off rip. There is nothing wrong with this album for me. I can listen to every track over and over again. She makes me want to put a baby in her. I'm gonna just say that right there. Wow. Not even looking at her, just the voice, my God. Oh my God. The song Can I is easily, aside from the song, it is what it is. The song Can I is easily one of probably my top two favorite songs of this year. I listen to that song every day. It puts me in a mood, and I just be like, man, if I just had two buns right now.
Hey, yeah, man. I gotta give this album a solid A as well. Just a straight up A. It was just a great project, great timing. You know what I'm saying? Great response. It was a great album.
Brandon, would you let her rub your butt?
Oh, absolutely. As long as she wanted to. As long as she wanted to.
And you know what? You know what else too? 40 minutes long. Perfect. 40 minutes. Just perfect.
Yeah, as far as me, I finally got past the cover.
Man.
Not just the front, but the back cover too. I was like, oh, once you guys told me there was a second half to that whole thing, I was just like, yo, I got kind of lost there, but yeah, it was a pretty good, enjoyable album. There's certain things that I look for when I listen to female singers. Like I don't like hearing the vocal. Like I said, I don't like hearing the two vulgar things from women.
Nah, tell me you want me to fuck you, Ma. Tell me you want me to fuck you. I got you.
Yeah, that little Kim stuff. Jeez.
Yikes. But I really enjoyed it. I enjoyed when she slowed it down a little bit, because usually when I try to listen to like Willow or somebody like that, when they slow it down, it puts me to sleep. But I was like completely engaged when she decided to slow it down. It really kept me on the edge of my seat a little bit there, because I was sitting there expecting her to go ham on a Oh Boy every song. And then when I didn't get that every song, then she pretty much flipped the switch on it, and I can still feel like she still has a little bit of love in there, but so it was a really enjoyable for me to listen to. I'll give it that much.
And I was impressed that she put my boy Masego in there. I love that new age jazz music. So not a lot of people are hip to like Masego and FKJ and, a few guys. But she got Masego in there. That's my dude. So I know her taste in music is great. She's also friends with one of my favorite rappers, Rex Life Raj. They're like personal friends. So I see her a lot in his like Instagram stories and stuff like that. So I've been staying kind of connected to her, and she had that song Change Your Life with Janae Aiko, who, if you're not a Kalani fan as a female, you're probably a Janae fan, and on this album you probably like started liking Kalani just because, you know what I mean, like, oh, she goes with her, okay, I'm her fan now,
Yeah, I was gonna mention that too, because I am a Janae fan, but I like Janae's fast stuff more than I enjoy Kalani's slower stuff more than I like Janae's slower stuff. So I think DJ's up.
Yeah. So
Yep.
the final, like I was gonna say the same thing. When I heard Joey's R&B music, it definitely put me in a different type of vibe, especially since, like I said, I was listening to these songs at 3 a.m. with my wife. So it definitely puts you in that sort of mindset. You know what you're getting whenever you listen to R&B. But when I listen to the song, the Janae Aiko and Kalani song together is one of those songs that kind of hit a different way. And like my wife's already like has baby fever, so we're already in a sort of mood.
Sheesh. Okay.
So definitely, it definitely was a good album. Definitely what I was expecting from it. I heard a little bit of her stuff. It's definitely in a lot of her features that she's in. So I definitely give this a solid B, a B plus if anything. And I loved every single track that I heard from it.
Yeah, it gets a B for me as well. I never said it.
Very nice. You're up, Taylor B.
All right. My final album that's going to be on this list, or it's not an album actually, it's an EP by Marlon Craft called "Work from Home." It's pretty much a couple of tracks that he decided to create during the pandemic and while we were all quarantined. It's hold on one second. I think it's like 13 tracks. I want to say. No, not 13 tracks. It's less than 10. I'm pretty sure because it's an EP. Yeah,
it's 9 tracks.
9 tracks. There you go.
Yeah.
9 tracks, and it's only 26 minutes. My favorite track off of the EP is Consequences. I also like Carne Guisada. I thought it was like a typo at first when I heard it, but then he actually says it in the song, so I was like, oh, okay, he's actually, this is like a real thing. Airplane Mode, I like it too, because it's kind of like talking about like, being on doing your thing and kind of not being disturbed or whatever. Overall, Marlon Craft, I think, is a phenomenal rapper, and I can't wait to see what he comes out with more. He's always like, here for the good fight too. He's always speaking on, social injustice and things like that. He's definitely a talented rapper, and I like that. He's not like super big yet or anything. He's definitely, people have their eyes on him for sure, but he's still reaching out to like the smaller artists and guys that are not as well known and putting them on his projects and kind of giving them some room for growth. Obviously, another song that was on here, I believe I spoke about it before, was "Mom's Whiskey" featuring Coda the Friend. It's a dope track as well, and give it a listen if you guys haven't. I would easily give this album, I'd probably give this album a B plus. Also, just real quick, what was the last grade that you guys gave for the Kehlani album? I think we all said, I know me and Joey said A's. What did you say, Daniel and DJ?
I said B.
You said what? You said B. Okay, what did you say, DJ?
I said B.
DJ also said B.
Okay, no, DJ. Okay, all right, cool. All right, moving on.
Yeah,
Who
B.
wants to talk about next?
Okay.
I'll go. This Marlon Craft actually quickly became and not to make this sound some kind of way, but he's my favorite white rapper right now. So, he's quickly become my favorite white, and it's just because his content is so genuine. He's got genuine content. He's far from your average rapper, you know what I'm saying? He's got the old school values. He's got the bars. He's smart. He knows melody, which actually came out in this album a little bit, or this EP. He actually started singing a little bit, which surprised me. He's got the low deep voice, which gives you the punch and the energy when he starts to really start rapping, which is a surprise, and it just catches you the right way. This was a little bit of a slower project, so like the other project that Brandon mentioned, if you love rap music and you have anxiety, this is one of the guys you want to listen to, because he's so smooth with it. And he's actually very informative. So the fact that he's white actually plays a big role in it, because like you said, he talks a lot about his position and his mindset and these things. And he's just really showing himself to be a great dude. And while spitting some pretty hard bars, you know what I'm saying? So big ups to him. I'm gonna give this a B, just a B, because I think how you guys felt about the other albums, I didn't think 9 tracks was enough, and it was a little slow. Even though I really liked the songs, I wish he would have gave it a little more punch in a few more tracks. Mm-hmm. So it was everything I was expecting from Marlon Craft, but I was hoping for, let me get some summertime knocks in this too. But if this is the project or the EP that he was just trying to get off some emotions and say, hey, it's called working from home because the quarantine, it's a theme, and I get it. But for this one, I'm going to go B all around. But I still expect big things from Marlon Craft. And I think
he got an album coming out this year, too.
He's got an album coming out, and he's got a great taste there. If you ever watch like his interviews on YouTube and stuff, he's always name dropping like some real lyricists, not just the people who are popular. Like, this dude knows and has done his homework. You know what I'm saying? So I respect this dude on a personal level, and not just because we were there at one of his first performances. You know what I'm saying? Like in San Diego. Like, that was just a surprise. No lie, we were all shocked at that performance in San Diego.
Yeah, this boy can rap.
He's a rap, man. So I'm gonna give this one a straight up B. Because it's everything you expect. Now when I listen to him, I expect to hear good bars. So if he ever disappoints me, you'll know.
Yeah, for sure. I could definitely jump on to the same sort of mindset. It was a little bit shorter for my taste as well. I kind of felt like we talked about it earlier in another podcast as well. We talked about when this album first dropped. And I did enjoy the album. I did enjoy, or the EP, sorry. And I do feel as though there is a lot more potential in what he has to bring to the table. So I'm definitely excited and looking forward to future projects from him. I also would give this a B. It's a strong B for me, just because I wanted more. And I think that it could definitely would be way better. And his next project, I'm almost 100% excited for.
Yeah, that last name really epitomizes his work, Craft, because you can definitely tell he's taken that name and he's taken the definition of that and really honed it, with all of through his music. And I might be out here on a limb though, but I feel like this is one of those dudes I'd like to hear rap with Gambino. Hint, hint, childish. But but yeah, I really enjoyed it. I got it through it pretty quickly. Usually, I'll stop an album and then finish some work and then get back to it a little bit later. This is the ones I didn't really want to stop. I felt like if I stopped it, I would miss something. I would miss some type of vibe in the song, because it immediately got me going. My favorite one was Consequences and Airplane Mode. Those are my two.
Airplane Mode, nice.
Those are my two favorite ones in there. So I really enjoyed those. I'm really looking forward to seeing what he's got for this next album. Hopefully it'll be longer than 9 tracks, like if we've all agreed to. Or he might just troll us and do 9 tracks again and be like, ha.
You put both the EPs together and it gives one album.
Maybe. Nice.
So I'm hearing B's all around then.
Yep.
B.
All right. Bet. And then finally, last but not least, it's on you, Joey.
Okay, yeah. This was surprisingly a long album, hour and 2 minutes, 16 tracks. I honestly didn't even realize the length of it because I liked it that much. Um, D Smoke, man. D Smoke, Black Habits was the album. I guess this is kind of like his coming out party for rap. He's born into a pretty talented family, pretty well connected, but you can't fake talent, and this guy definitely doesn't fake talent. He raps in English and in Spanish. It's got that West Coast thump to it. Like I said, I was missing that neck and back snap sometimes. He's got all of that. You know what I'm saying? So this album right here did it for me. This album really did it. I pulled up on a few of my friends over the course of, a few months, and I've been playing this album on and off, and I always get a comment. When did this come out? Yo, who this? Or, what's this? What's that? Oh, I like this too, features on the album. I mean, he's got Snoop Dogg on there, Jill Scott, you know what I'm saying? Sir, which is his brother, Ari Lennox. Yeah, just a great album for me. And I got to give this one a solid A myself. Cause like I said, some of these albums, the reason why I chose them is because I couldn't help but go back and listen to it again. And this is one I just go right back. And I find myself listening to this album every other day. So this was my solid pick. And this is an A for me.
For sure. I totally have to agree with you with the A. After the show that was on Netflix, I forget what it was called, Rhythm and Flow. It was he, obviously ended up being the winner.
Spoiler alert, man! Spoiler alert. Still haven't seen it.
Oh my god! Wow. I definitely didn't think. I thought it was going to be like American Idol. There wasn't going to be much. After he came out, but he would just kind of have some money in his pocket for the rest of his life or something like that. But when he dropped his album, I was actually really impressed with it. He could play the piano, so he can play a bunch of instruments. Like he said, his family is musically inclined, which is awesome. My favorite song off of that whole project is probably the song Fallen. I'm kind of a sucker for love songs, and that's one of them. He's an amazing artist, and the Spanish complements everything that he does so well. He's when I first heard him start doing that, I thought it was going to just start kind of becoming a gimmick or like a crutch. Like you're going to kind of wow us because it's like you're bilingual and it's like you're just going to throw it in there to just kind of add an effect. But then in majority of the songs, it actually complements it very well. It's a welcome addition to most of the tracks. And I think that over time, he's probably going to show us way more that he's capable of. I don't even think he's got to perform really anything from this album, or if he has, it was before the album dropped, I believe, because I believe he dropped it either right before the pandemic or right after. I can't remember completely, but it's a phenomenal project, and I definitely have to give it an A too.
Yeah, when it first came out, I didn't really give him his respect, just because you won off a TV show, and the guy I was actually rooting for in that TV show lost, so I was just like, I'm not giving it your respect at all. But but I was actually very impressed with this because he doesn't seem like he's trying too hard. It seems like everything he's talking about is legit. I forget what neighborhood he said. Oh, he said he's from Inglewood. Like, I haven't really heard nobody rep Inglewood like that and all that. But it was a breath of fresh air a little bit because, especially with Nipsey being gone, we've been missing that gangster rap a little bit, the mindful gangster rap. I'll say it like that. And he came with it, and I was really enjoying that part. The Spanish, I haven't heard the word panocha in so long, but
man, that's funny to hear right now.
I haven't heard that since a good 7th, 8th grade. Like, haven't heard it in Spanish like that, and it just took me back to those times. Everybody was like trying to talk like that, trying to get their Spanish off to the Latin girls in school and all that. But I was like, it fills a nostalgia cap, and it makes me want to know more about him, because I feel like even through the show and through the album, we still don't even know who he is yet. And I feel like as we go further on into his career, he'll be able to reveal a lot more of that. So it would get a solid B from me.
Yeah, I can agree with that as well. I listened to him just because of the fact that you guys were talking about Rhythm and Flow last time the first time I ever heard of him obviously was because of you guys were talking about how the show ended and how he was the winner. I gave his rhythm and flow stuff a listen, and I kind of enjoyed what I heard. But this album actually is what really got me interested in D Smoke personally, not like in a personal level, but just as what else he has to bring to the table. Like you said, he's very young in the game, inconsiderably, considering he just came off of this TV show, but it definitely does speak volumes on how much he would be able to produce in the future. Black Habits as an album I think it was a great album. Top to bottom, it had some great features when it comes to Snoop Dogg and people that come along with it. Ari Lennox, like Joey said earlier, but hearing the songs is just like how Daniel said. It gives you that vibe, that Nipsey vibe that we kind of missed over the last couple of months, and I definitely. This is an album that I'd listen to. It's definitely on that group that I would give it a couple of listens, just because it kept me engaged, it kept me coming back, and it's something that I have a bunch of songs off this album myself that I would definitely just put in a playlist and just listen to. So I definitely would give this one an A myself.
Very nice.
All right. It looks like that's the end of all the lists. So I'll just read it off real fast before we do our quick honorable mentions. For Daniel, we got King Crooked and Joel Ortiz Hard with the B+. Eminem's Music to Be Murdered By with the B. Rush Shake the Globe with the B. Gavi Heathen with the C. Bizzle the Messenger 4 with an A. For me, we had Sir Michael Rock's Broken Windows of Opportunity with the B. Run the Jewels 4 with a B. West Side Gun, Pray for Paris with an A. Thundercat, It Is What It Is with an A. Marlon Craft, Work From Home with a B. For Joey, we got D Smoke, Black Habits with an A. Levin Kali, High Tide with a B. Mick Jenkins, The Circus with a B-. Kehlani Was Good Until It Wasn't with a B. Don Tolliver, Heaven or Hell with a C+. DJ, we had Childish Gambino, 31520 with a B. Joyner Lucas, ADHD with a B-. Avenged Sevenfold, Diamonds in the Rough with a C. Pearl Jam Gigatron with a B+. Cruella, Zero with a B. And last but not least, I know we want to turn over some honorable mentions. I'll go first. These are just a couple that I have. I definitely didn't take the time to look through all the music that I'd heard, but I want to honorable mention Before Noon by ASAP 12e, Fuck the World by Brent Faiyaz, and Everything by Coda the Friend. And whoever's next, go ahead.
I'm gonna go ahead and drop mine. My honorable mentions, a few albums I had listened to was the album by Tiana Taylor. That was one I considered. I believe Unlocked by Denzel Curry and Kenny Beats. That album was hype. Alfredo by Freddie Gibbs and The Alchemist. That was actually on my original list, and I took that out for Mick Jenkins just because I had a personal thing. Oh, some of my what I like to call my cowbell pimp music. Larry June and Cardo dropped a album or a project called Cruise USA. That was one of my things. And actually, Larry June probably drops like an album a month. He's like on a Currency thing right now. I don't know what's going on, but that's all I got.
All right, for me, I only have 2 honorable mentions that only made the cut for me. The other ones only had like 1 or 2 songs that I was really feeling, and that was it. So one of them is going to be Beyond Bulletproof by Mozzie. He's definitely one of those. It's going to be Crip music, so just be prepared for that. Mozzie Bulletproof, and the other one is going to be Slime and B by Chris Brown and Young Thug. That's going to be that's going to be a cool little party album, or if you're out late with a nice lady, with put the top back, throw some of that on, and it'll be real nice mood music for you.
And I'll finally finish it off. I kind of wanted to add this to my honorable mention just because I didn't really feel as though it was a full album itself. I have kids, so keep that in mind. It's the Trolls World Tour motion picture soundtrack, and the reason why I say that is because it has a couple, like maybe 5 or 6 original songs for the actual movie itself from Justin Timberlake and Anderson .Paak that. They hit. They're great songs, and it makes you feel like, man, when's the next time we're gonna hear another Justin Timberlake album? Justin Timberlake has just always been that artist that you know what you're getting, and he's been one of the greatest artists of our generation for the longest time because he just makes that type of music. But I didn't really want to add it to my list just because it did have a bunch of remixes, a bunch of reimagining of, if you'd say, of these new songs by different artists. And I just think that coming from something that you'd want to introduce your kids to, it definitely does open people's minds up to like George Clinton, and it has Kelly Clarkson and all these other people that your kids probably wouldn't listen to unless you played it in this movie.
All right, and to wrap up the show, since we're talking about music, these are a couple albums that just dropped. Juice WRLD's Legends Never Die, which is his posthumous album. Snow Allegra with Dying for Your Love. Summer Walker with Life on Earth, which is an EP. Casey Veggies and Rocky Fresh with Fresh Veggies 2. You know I'm going to check that out. And last but not least, I know we mentioned him earlier, and it's not on this list that I have. Hold on one second, guys. And West Side Gun's Fly God is an awesome God, too. And I guess that about wraps it up, Piglets.
Longest
this has been, yeah, absolutely. All right, Piglets, this has been another installment of Culture by the Uncultured. Don't forget to follow us on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter at Culture by the Uncultured. Remember, Piglets, Culture by the Uncultured is available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, SoundCloud, and YouTube. We hope everyone out there is staying safe, and if you can't be safe, be deadly. Catch you guys next time.
Hey,
Later, Piglets.
One last thing. If I die after I pay my rent, sit me on the couch till the end of the month.
I don't even want to know why.